O eternal and almighty God, from whom all power and wisdom come, we are assembled here before thee to frame such laws as may tend to the welfare and prosperity of our province. Grant, O merciful God, we pray thee, that we may desire only that which is in accordance with thy will, that we may seek it with wisdom, know it with certainty, and accomplish it perfectly, for the glory and honor of thy name and for the welfare of all our people. Amen. We acknowledge we are gathered on Treaty 1 territory, and that Manitoba is located on the treaty territories and ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe, Anishinaabeg, Dakota Oete, Dene, Tsuut'ina, and Neothog nations. We acknowledge Manitoba is located on the homeland of the Red River Métis. We acknowledge northern Manitoba includes lands that were and are the ancestral lands of the Inuit. We respect the spirit and intent of treaties and treaty making, and remain committed to working in partnership with First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people in the spirit of truth, reconciliation, and collaboration. Please be seated. Routine proceedings, introduction of bills, committee reports. The Honourable Member for Steinbach.
Honourable Speaker, I wish to present the 7th report of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts.
Your Standing Committee on Public Accounts presents the following.
Dispense. The Honourable Member for Steinbach.
Honourable Speaker, I move, seconded by the Honourable Member for Elmwood, that the report of the committee be received.
Been moved by the Honourable Member for Steinbach, seconded by the Honourable Member for Elmwood, that the report of the committee be received. Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the report? Agreed, and so ordered. The report is accordingly adopted. Tabling of reports. The Honourable Minister of Innovation and New Technology.
Honourable Speaker, I'm pleased to table the annual report for Research Manitoba for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2025.
Further tabling of reports. The Honourable Minister of Municipal and Northern Relations.
Honourable Speaker, I am pleased to table the report on the statutory review of provincial planning legislation.
No other tabling of reports. Ministerial statements. The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I'm sure folks have noticed we've got a number of people in the gallery here today. Just want to acknowledge we've got some pretty excellent healthcare workers here with us. If you can just take a minute to say, hey, everybody. Yeah. Thanks for being here. Honourable Speaker, I am really proud to stand up today to announce that our government has proclaimed October 20th to 24th Healthcare Support Workers Week. These are folks who are invaluable to our healthcare system. They work day in and day out to provide the highest quality of care to Manitobans across the province. And we can't thank them enough for everything they do for Manitobans. And thanking them is not enough, Honourable Speaker, which is why we regularly make a point of having meaningful conversations, listening, working in true partnership to take the necessary actions to not only fix healthcare, but to strengthen it for generations of Manitobans to come. You know, the critical work that is carried out by Manitoba's healthcare support workers with dedication and integrity and professionalism has a long legacy here in Manitoba. But we're seeing in more recent months and years under our government the opportunities that we have to innovate the way this care is being delivered, the ways in which we can partner to take new steps to strengthen healthcare for Manitobans. And what we need to make sure we do, which I cannot thank them enough for getting to the table with us as a government, is making sure that they have fair deals in place so that they can feel confident and comfortable delivering the services that they do every day. For previous years, many years, they went without a fair deal, and we were proud to sit down and make sure that these folks got that deal so that they could focus on what they do best, and that is providing care to Manitobans. For so many seniors in our province, healthcare support workers are helping them to remain independent, allowing them to age with dignity, maintain community involvement, and enjoy a quality of life that we all wish for our loved ones. And so by working with support workers, we've taken many meaningful steps, including the 3,400 net new healthcare workers across the province, but that number includes almost 1,500 healthcare aides. And we're investing in more training for these essential workers across the province. We spent and invested over $48 million in new funding for the training of frontline staff, but that includes 100 new healthcare training seats in northern Manitoba. This will allow support workers to stay close to their homes and in their own communities, and to work and to train in the healthcare centers that they are most familiar with and where that help is needed most. We recognize that Manitoba healthcare support workers provide highest quality of care, comfort, and safety, but we also recognize they do that in a unique way that should be championed, celebrated, and uplifted each and every day. They do this for our loved ones as they navigate new phases of life and as they navigate these challenges that are ever evolving across our province. So we want them to know that by listening to them, working with them, that we're not only fixing healthcare for today, but again, we're innovating it for tomorrow. So it is our absolute pleasure as a government to not only again say thank you to all support workers across this province, but to recommit to doing the work in partnership, in collaboration, to continue to move healthcare in the best direction possible for all Manitobans. And Honourable Speaker, I want to note that the leaders who support healthcare support workers have been phenomenal partners. These are folks who are dedicated to building strong relationships with government, and now that they have the opportunity to do just that, we are certainly not going to waste it. I'd ask all members of this House to join me in welcoming the many support workers and leaders who are here today as guests. Stand up, say thank you, and congratulations on your week.
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I have a long list of the names of the support workers who are here today, some of which had to leave a little early, but I would appreciate being able to make sure their names are recorded and answered.
The member doesn't have to ask for leave as long as they're attached. They will get included in Hansard. The Honourable Member for Roblin.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I'm very pleased to rise today to recognize Healthcare Support Worker Week in Manitoba. It provides us with an opportunity to celebrate and express our deep gratitude to the thousands of healthcare support workers who serve our province with compassion, dedication, and resilience. In fact, and anybody who's experienced healthcare in Manitoba, whose loved ones are currently going through healthcare, knows that healthcare support workers are the backbone of our health system. They work in different capacities in settings all across the province: hospitals, personal care homes, community clinics, in home care, providing essential care, comfort, and support to Manitobans every single day. Working as healthcare aides, dietary aides, housekeepers, administrative staff, each plays a vital role in ensuring our healthcare facilities run smoothly and that Manitobans receive the quality care they deserve. These workers often go above and beyond, offering not only physical assistance, but also emotional support to patients and families during some of life's most challenging moments. Healthcare Support Worker Week reminds us that quality healthcare depends on teamwork, and that every member of that team deserves recognition and respect. Acknowledging their contributions is, of course, very important. A government must also commit to supporting them through better working conditions, access to training, and opportunities for career advancement within Manitoba's healthcare system. As we celebrate and appreciate our healthcare workers, I encourage all Manitobans to take a moment to thank a healthcare support worker, whether through a kind word, a thank you, or by sharing a story of how they've made a difference. Let's all show our appreciation for these dedicated professionals who go above and beyond for our health and well-being. Through appreciation, respect, and truly listening to their concerns and the solutions that they bring forward, we can continue to build a stronger, more compassionate healthcare for Manitoba. Thank you.
The honourable member for Tyndall Park.
I ask for leave to respond to the minister's statement.
Does the honourable member for Tyndall Park have leave to respond? Leave has been granted. The honourable member for Tyndall Park.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. October 20th to 24th, 2025 was Healthcare Support Workers Week. It was created for us to recognize the valuable role of healthcare support workers in delivering quality healthcare and to say thank you to all healthcare support workers across our province. Healthcare support workers sustain our healthcare system, providing comfort, compassion, and essential care to patients and their families, and for that they deserve our deepest gratitude. They are dedicated, professional, and valuable members of healthcare teams that care for Manitobans in hospitals, long-term care homes, and other community facilities. Each and every one of them make a difference in countless ways as they deliver day-to-day services that often go unseen but not unnoticed. From keeping facilities clean and safe to assisting patients with dignity, supporting clinical teams, sterilizing and maintaining equipment, cooking and serving meals, laundry, providing recreational activities, and more, our healthcare support workers do it all. Among the many words used to describe the impacts that healthcare support workers make, we often hear the words compassion, kindness, unwavering dedication, genuine concern, and empathy. All of these, well combined, demonstrates how healthcare support workers truly make a difference by going above and beyond. Thank you for your dedication, strength, and kindness. Our communities are healthier, safer, and stronger because of all of you, and thank you for joining us today in the gallery.
No further ministerial statements. Member statements. The honourable member for McPhillips.
Honourable Speaker, few things capture the excitement of a Winnipeg Jets game quite like the sound of the organ ringing through the Canada Life Centre. That sound is brought to you by my constituent, Chris Eccles, who is the live organist for the Winnipeg Jets. Chris brings music, rhythm, and a whole lot of fun to every home game, helping keep both fans and players fueled by passion. Whether he's playing the classic charge or a fun riff to get the crowd going, Chris plays a huge part in creating an unforgettable game day atmosphere that every Jets fan loves. Chris is a classically trained pianist who also plays a keyboard in several local rock bands. He first got his start with the Manitoba Moose, playing during playoff runs before moving up to the Jets in 2017. And like any true hockey fan, he's got a game day ritual. Back in his first season, he brought a peanut butter sandwich to a game the Jets won, so now he brings one to every home game. After the final buzzer sounds, Chris brings that same energy into the classroom. A proud Métis educator and a graduate from the U of W, Chris continues to inspire and uplift his elementary school students every day, some of whom who joined here today. Chris also volunteers with local charities and continues to share his love of music across Winnipeg. Whether on the ice, in the community, or in the classroom, Chris is proof that music and a great sense of fun can bring people together. I ask all my colleagues to join me in celebrating Chris for keeping Jets fans fired up and making McPhillips proud. Go Jets, go!
The honourable member for Red River North.
Honourable Speaker, I rise in the House today to recognize Cycling with Sarah from the RM of East St. Paul. As founder, Sarah Granville McKenzie Cycling is a passion. Along with co-founder Rose McDonald, it's become very much a year-round commitment. The original group started in East St. Paul just 3 years ago with 18 members. Now, with satellite groups established in South Winnipeg and West St. Paul, members will reach 97 ladies next year. The cycling club is committed to physical and mental well-being of senior women and supporting each other at all times. Sarah and Rose are Live Canada ambassadors, and recently the Cycling with Sarah group was chosen by Live in the Community Builder category to be featured in a video that has been entered into the 2026 New Zealand Big Bike Film Festival. Honourable Speaker, supporting community is important to all Cycling with Sarah members, like participating in the annual East St. Paul Day Parade, volunteering for the mobile ski library put on by the nonprofit Winnipeg Trails at East St. Paul, and Flurry Days in February. They support other great causes throughout the year as well, including donating to Willow Place in Winnipeg and Nova House in Selkirk. They also put together supplies for Manitoba Shoebox Project, which supports women at risk of becoming homeless. Honourable Speaker, I ask my colleagues today to recognize Sarah Granville-McKenzie, along with Rose McDonald, Kelly Wilson, Lorraine Dewar, Elizabeth Drew, Michelle Kurlicki, Catherine White, and Lisa Eman, who is joining us here today in the gallery. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
The honourable member for Waverley.
Just on a point of order, Honourable Speaker.
The honourable member for Waverley on a point of order.
Yeah, yesterday during debates on Bill 50, unfortunately the Premier was discussing a personal experience of his own father not having the right to vote here in Canada. And during that conversation, there was an interjection wherein the member for...
Order, please. It's a rule of this House that when the Speaker has taken a matter under advisement, you can't talk about it, so the honourable member would be out of line bringing that up. Honourable member for Waverley, you can't table a document that may be out of line with what I've just said. Honourable member for Waverley.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, for the guidance. I tried to table this. I will take your guidance from the words that were said in Hansard. I will keep those to myself. Thank you.
The Honourable Minister of Business, Mining, Trade and Job Creation.
Honourable Speaker, I rise today with a heavy heart to acknowledge the devastating impact of Hurricane Melissa on the people of Jamaica and the wider Caribbean community. Like many Canadians, I've had the heartbreak of watching in disbelief the impacts of Hurricane Melissa had on the destruction of communities and homes, uplifting roofs and tearing roofs off of important buildings and key infrastructure. These scenes were not just distant headlines, but they represented real lives and real impact of real communities. And we want to send our hearts out to all those impacted by the devastating hurricane. Now, the storm was so impactful that it was actually the single largest storm to hit Jamaica in the 174 years of recorded history, and winds exceeded 295 kilometers, leaving a wake of destruction in its path. There's power concerns and flood water surges that are still ongoing, and casualties remain unknown, and so we're very concerned with the ongoing situation. Now, despite these challenges, we know the resilience of the Jamaican people and the Caribbean community is so strong. Shelters are being prepared and active. Local authorities are working tirelessly to support communities, and international partners are mobilizing to provide support. In Canada, that support runs deep, and we have a rich and vibrant Jamaican and Caribbean diaspora right here in Manitoba. So I want to thank, in particular, Honourable Consul Dr. Lois Stewart-Archer, as well as the Jamaican Association of Manitoba, for bringing people together and supporting community. So on behalf of the province of Manitoba, I want to thank their leadership for the community here in Manitoba in the face of this tragedy. Now, the motto of Jamaica is, out of many, one people, and it's times like these that we know Jamaica truly demonstrates that they are one people. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Lac du Bonny.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, since 1973, the Eastern Manitoba Concert Association, EMCA, has played a vital role in bringing exceptional music performances to the Eastman region. The organization is passionate about showcasing a diverse range of concerts featuring both established and emerging artists. With a strong commitment to artistic excellence and community connection, EMCA remains an important part of the cultural life in the LGD-Apinawa and the Lac du Bonny constituency. One key contribution of EMCA is its ability to foster community spirit. By organizing various live performances, the association encourages residents to come together and enjoy shared experiences. Concerts featuring local talent not only entertain, but also create pride among community members. The support from the board, including President Laurie Evenden, and dedicated volunteers ensure that each event runs smoothly, making attendees feel welcome and valued. Additionally, the EMCA promotes cultural diversity by introducing audiences to different musical genres and styles, from classical to folk. The range of performances enrich the local cultural landscape. Each concert becomes an opportunity for residents to learn about and celebrate different traditions. EMCA also has a positive impact on the local economy. By attracting visitors from outside the area, concerts stimulate spending at local businesses, such as restaurants and shops. This boost to the economy creates job opportunities for residents and highlights the importance of supporting local. The Eastern Manitoba Concert Association is essential for the Lac du Bonny constituency. Supporting EMCA is an investment in a vibrant community, ensuring that music and culture continue to thrive for generations to come. I ask all colleagues to join me in congratulating the EMCA who are watching online, and I wish to include the names of the board members in Hansard. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Tyndall Park.
Honourable Speaker, Manitoba is in a literacy crisis with some of the lowest literacy rates in Canada. Bill 225 could help thousands of children across our province. After the bill was introduced, the government quickly issued their own directive that falls short according to stakeholders and presenters. It does not legislate changes. It's basically a recommendation. It does not ensure that parents and guardians are made aware of the findings, and it does not ensure that school boards act on the findings or use an evidence-based model. Yet this government refuses to call Bill 225 for a vote, as they send mixed messages to Manitobans by sending it to committee. Honourable Speaker, why send it to committee, sit through nearly 6 hours of heartfelt testimony, only for us to learn that no matter what Manitobans had to say, the minister, with her several-page, pre-prepared closing statement, had already made up her mind? This completely defeats the purpose of committee. What the government did was insulting, it was noticed, and it was painfully anti-democratic. The opposition is willing to work across party lines, but this government needs to do the same. Stakeholders, presenters, even card-carrying NDP members have contacted me wanting this bill to pass. Members of this NDP government have told me they want this bill to pass. However, this government is playing games. We saw this with Kira's Law, and we are seeing it again with universal screening. Honourable Speaker, I am appealing again to this government to work across party lines and practice democracy. If there are any amendments or changes to the legislation, we can work together to include them. We need to call this bill for a vote before it dies on the order paper on November 6th.
Order, please, before we get to question period. There are some guests in the gallery that have to leave soon, so I'd like to draw the attention of all honourable members to the public gallery, where we have with us today healthcare support workers for Healthcare Support Workers for Healthcare Support Workers Week, who are the guests of the Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care. And on behalf of all honourable members, we welcome you here today. And further, seated in the public gallery, we have from the Harm Reduction Peer Advocacy Group members who are guests of the Honourable Member for Point Douglas, and we welcome you here today as well. Oral questions. Oral questions. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Honourable Speaker, Manitobans are asking themselves one question. What is this Premier hiding? The Premier has set a new standard for lack of transparency and accountability. The Premier and his failed Finance Minister got a D- when it comes to accountability and transparency in his C.D. Howe reports. Their Premier is refusing to debate the Budget Implementation Act. He's refusing to call estimates to this House so that they can answer the questions on their irresponsible spending, and he's introducing legislation late that he knows has no chance of passing to block us from asking him questions on his accountability and transparency. So I'll ask the Premier a simple question. If he wants to be accountable and transparent to all Manitobans, what are the 3 mega projects that he is claiming to have in the works?
Here, here.
The Honourable First Minister.
Honourable Speaker, I want to table these documents for the House. And I want to call attention to the fact that we're working hard for you. Yeah. People across Manitoba. 17,000 more jobs since we took office. That's awesome. 3,400 new healthcare workers. Yes. The only thing that hasn't gone up is gas prices, because we cut the gas tax. Saving you money each and every single day. The members opposite, in between paying fines and owning themselves every time they show up into the chamber, continue to show up in question period without a hot clue about what's going on in Manitoba. Here's the thing. We know that they're trying to practice politics with a smile and focus on healthcare and the economy now. Well, you know what we say to that? You know what we say to that?
Order.
Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a supplementary question. Order.
Very simple question. What are the 3 mega projects the Premier is talking about? Or does he not have them? Is he just trying to distract Manitobans from the fact that healthcare is worse under his leadership, crime is at record highs, and our economy in Manitoba is ranked dead last in Canada? Why is he being so secretive of the details? What are the projects? Who's going to fund the projects? Where are they going to be? Has he consulted with his Indigenous Crown Corporation that he talks about? The only thing the Premier has said is that they're going to be in the energy space. So let's start with a simple question maybe the Premier will actually answer. Where is the Premier going to find the energy to power these mega projects when Manitoba Hydro itself says they run the risk of power shortages in the next 4 years?
Here, here.
The Honourable First Minister.
You know, I love talking about energy because there's a renewed energy in Manitoba ever since the people showed the PC government the door. And the PCs, of course, they didn't build, never mind a megawatt, never mind a kilowatt, never mind a single watt. They didn't build 1 calorie of energy. You could get one of those fancy little spoons, dip it in a bowl of sugar, and there's more energy in that little tiny decorative spoon than they built during their entire time in government. Look at them right now. There's no energy in the opposition benches. So we'll take no lessons from them. Instead, we'll take all our lessons from you, the great people of Manitoba. Let's work together and keep powering the future.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a final supplementary question.
Will this premier take his job seriously? Will he actually answer a question for Manitobans? It's a complete joke on that side of the house. He thinks every question we ask is supposed to be answered with a passive-aggressive smile, with a backhanded joke, with insulting members and Manitobans. Serious questions on the future of this province when Manitoba Hydro says there's not going to be enough energy in this province in the next 4 years. He's waving his magic wand of 3 mega projects. So I ask him again, what are those 3 mega projects? Who's going to pay for them? And when are they going to be built?
Here, here.
The Honourable First Minister.
Honourable Speaker, immediately upon taking government, we recognized that the era of not building anything under the PCs needed to come to an end. That's right. During the member's time in office, the building crane was an endangered species.
That's right. Yeah.
Now with us in office, the building crane, they're everywhere.
That's right.
Just like birds, like seagulls, like pigeons, they're everywhere in Manitoba.
Yeah.
We're building 600 megawatts of wind. With Indigenous partners to put people to work in communities all over the province, including on reserve. We're building highways, bridges. We're connecting people across Manitoba. The only thing that they ever connected with was an intimacy coach paid for by their questionable practices on the PC party side of things. Well, we're focused on you. We're focused on your jobs. We're focused on the economy. Let's keep building up this great province.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a new question.
The only hot air coming out of this chamber is out of that premier's mouth, Honourable Speaker. Spend, spend, spend. That's the NDP government right now. The premier and his failing finance minister are spending so much money that the Canadian Taxpayer Federation says, and I quote, sounding the alarm over what it calls, frankly, ridiculous surge in 6-figure public sector salaries, urging the province to rein in its payroll spending amid ballooning debt and deficit projections, end quote. I'll table that article for the premier to read. Once again, another organization blowing the whistle on this failed finance minister and premier. So the question for the premier, if you finally take one seriously and answer, will the premier listen to the Canadian Taxpayer Federation and rein in his payroll spending?
Good question.
The Honourable First Minister.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. You know, we're here each and every day building up our economy, standing up to Donald Trump and declaring that we will never be the 51st state. At the same time, we're investing in healthcare, we're investing in education. But I get a kick out of the members opposite when they come in here and ask questions that are about throwing shade at themselves. The first set of questions about the C.D. Howe report was about their time in government. The question that he just asked about big government handouts, well, who got the biggest government handout of all? $500,000 from Heather Stephenson. I'll table who got that handout right here. It's the member for Fort White, the leader of the PC party, who's lined up at the trough more than anyone else in the province's history.
That's right.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Honourable Speaker, the Premier might want to live in the past, but Manitobans are living in the present when food prices are at the highest price they've ever been in this province under this NDP. This Premier is handing out 6-figure salaries to his best friends because he's got the looks. $400,000 to his friend in Washington, D.C. with 0 trade deals done. And now a record number of 6-figure salaries have been handed out by this premier. $5.1 billion under this premier to his friends. 6-figure digits that you, Manitobans, are paying for. So I'm going to ask the premier a question again. Will the Premier listen to the experts' advice and rein in his spending on out-of-control government salaries when Manitobans can't even pay for food at the grocery stores?
Order, please. Order, please. I just call the government bench to be a little quieter so that I can actually hear the questions that are being asked. Honourable First Minister.
The member opposite got $500,000 during the height of COVID, when inflation was 8%. That's more than any figure he just cited. He got a bigger government handout than anyone else in the entire province. But that's not all. The person who advised him on his leadership campaign, the person who created the worst ads in Manitoba history, who guided each and every one of these members to the opposition benches, do you know how much she got? She got $3 million. What? I'll table the documents for the House. The members opposite are living in a glass house which was built by their insider friends with government money. That's right. Your money, the PC Party of Manitoba. There's way too much corruption. That's right. Let's leave them in the dustbin of history. Let's keep working together to build up Manitoba, fixing healthcare and making life more affordable.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
We have figured it out. We know why this premier is failing finances, why the finance minister has a D-. He thinks that $5.1 billion to pay to his friends in public salaries is less than $500,000. Newsflash, Premier, $5.1 billion is more than $500,000. The premier promised that he's going to fix bail, failed. Grocery prices are higher now under this premier. Healthcare is worse under this premier. And now the deficit is reaching $4 billion under this failed premier. Will the premier rein in his spending, his out-of-control spending, on the backs of Manitobans' taxpayers so that they can afford to live in Manitoba?
Hear, hear, hear.
Order, please. I would just remind the honourable member to make sure you're always directing your comments and questions through the chair and not directly across the members opposite. The Honourable First Minister.
The leader of the PC's racked up a $2 billion deficit in a losing election campaign. Since taking office, we've cut that in half. At the same time, we've rooted out corruption on their side of the House. The member for Red River North, found guilty by all of his peers. Guilty, guilty, guilty. Had to pay a big fine this week, $10,000. Where's the money coming from? Are they still living off the proceeds of their time in office? Again, they've got donations. I'll table the list of donations to the leader's PC leadership campaign, suspiciously like the Sciosilica imbroglio. I'll table the members of Turtle Mountain's disclosure here. Again, the very same people from the Sciosilica report. He launched a business with them during this legislative session. And the list goes on and on and on. Party donor after party donor receiving money from the Ford PC government. I'll keep tabling every single day you want to keep raising. Too much corruption on their side.
Time has expired. The Honourable Member for Lac du Bonny.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, in 2023, our government laid the groundwork on 42 projects through the school division childcare stream. Honourable Speaker, 42 projects, 3,200 childcare spaces. That's over 2,600 age 7 and under spaces. When is this Education Minister going to move on all of those spaces that families in Manitoba desperately need?
The Honourable Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and thank you to the member opposite for the question. It gives me great pleasure to stand in this House and talk about what is a very important issue for all Manitobans, and that's access to high-quality, affordable childcare. And that's something our government has delivered on, making true $10 a day childcare available here for every Manitoba parent on every single day of the year. And just this morning, Honourable Speaker, myself and my colleague, the member for La Jamaudière, got to visit one of the brand new schools here in Manitoba, École Sage Creek School in the DSFM, and we also visited the incredible childcare spaces that they have at that school. We are building childcare spaces in every single one of the 11 schools that we will be building, thanks to Budget 2025.
The Honourable Member for Lac du Bonny on a supplementary question.
Once again, Honourable Speaker, the minister stands up and embarrasses herself by not answering the question. Matter of fact, I'm surprised a spokesperson didn't come through the doors and give her the talking points, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I'm asking questions.
Order.
For Sunrise School Division and Whiteshell School Division, we're looking at over 3...
Order, please. The honourable member for Kildonan River East will come to order. The honourable member for Lac du Bonny.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. And besides the heckling coming from the Health Minister, I'd like to ask the Education Minister, on behalf of Sunrise School Division and Whiteshell School Division, when can they expect the shovels to hit the ground for their over 360 childcare spaces that the community desperately needs?
The Honourable Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Our government was elected on a mandate to provide easy, accessible, flexible, affordable childcare for Manitobans, and that's what we are doing. We are building childcare spaces in partnerships with school divisions, in partnerships with post-secondary institutions, in partnership with our healthcare institutions. We're building them in every corner of this province. In fact, I think perhaps this might be our childcare plan, Honourable Speaker, might be one of the mega projects that our Premier is talking about. We have so many projects in Manitoba that you could definitely qualify our childcare plan, the NDP government's childcare plan, as one of our many 3, 4, 5, maybe 10 mega projects coming to Manitoba.
That's right. That's right.
Sometimes.
More to come.
The honourable member for Spruce Woods.
Well, thank you, Honourable Speaker. I've been meeting with daycare since in my ridings. And Souris Daycare was approved under the PC government for 104 spaces. They were told they were cancelled. Then they just received a new letter. It was something about procurement. But they wouldn't get their 60% funding because they will not fund before and after school programs. I'm going to ask this failed minister, why are you not funding before and after school programs?
The Honourable Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. And is the case often when members opposite get up, they are incorrect in the facts that they're putting here on the record today. We are absolutely building childcare spaces in Souris. Had the member opposite taken any time to give my office a call, we absolutely could have had this question. She knows absolutely what the mix-up was. She's trying to mislead the House, and she's tried to mislead her constituents. That's very unfortunate. That is why the members, Honourable Speaker, of Spruce Woods, the constituents of Spruce Woods, were really looking and hoping for change. But don't you worry, Spruce Woods. We're coming. 2027, you're going to have a great NDP candidate to vote for that's going to represent your interests, whether that's childcare, whether that's education, healthcare, highways. We're coming.
That's right.
Order, please. I would just remind the member for Spruce Woods before she asks her next question to make sure you're always directing the questions through the chair. The honourable member for Spruce Woods.
You maybe should let Souris know, because I just met with him this week.
Order, please. I just caution the member about directing her comments through the chair. Please make sure you direct comments, questions through the chair. And the honourable member that's talking should be quiet while the speaker is standing. The honourable member for Spruce Woods.
Sorry about that, Minister, Honourable Speaker. Souris has 110 on a waiting list right now. They have no idea when this project can go to start. I went to Rivers. They're looking at a new daycare. We have a daycare crisis, and they're not getting any answers from this government. So if this minister says that I should know something, I don't know, because they don't know either. I would like to ask her today, when do you suspect to...
Order, please. Order, please. I would caution the member that saying things like trying to mislead is dangerously... I'm sorry, wasn't that member, it was the minister. saying things like intentionally misleading, trying to mislead, are very close to being unparliamentary. So I just caution the member to choose your words carefully. The honourable member for Spruce Woods.
I just want to ask this minister, when will the projects begin in Souris?
The Honourable Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. And the member opposite is right that Manitobans were left. Yeah. They're applauding. Honourable Speaker.
The Honourable Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. And the member opposite is right about something, and that's the fact.
Order, please. I would caution the opposition bench to calm themselves down now. The Honourable Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. And the member opposite is right about something, and that's that Manitobans were absolutely left in a child care crisis after 7 years of absolute neglect under the PC government. And I have some questions for the member opposite, Honourable Speaker. I have some questions for the member for Spruce Woods, what she would like to ask her leader.
Member's time has expired. Order, please. The honourable member for Roblin.
One of the first things this NDP government did after forming government was cancel the Phoenix School renovation and expansion project that was already underway in Headingley. With a new gym, 2 new classrooms, a multi-purpose room, it would have offered some relief for students and teachers who are currently crammed into an aging building in the adjoining portable classrooms. I've asked this question many times on behalf of concerned residents in Headingley, and the minister has yet to explain why they cancelled this project. When will the NDP uncancel the Phoenix School expansion and renovation project?
The Honourable Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. And it is the case that your NDP government, Manitoba, is building schools in every single corner of this province. Just this September, Honourable Speaker, we have opened 3 new schools just this September. This morning we were at École Sage Creek in DSFM. We've opened another school in Sage Creek for Louis Riel School Division, and we had the great pleasure of visiting Park Hill School in Steinbach. That's true that also, Honourable Speaker, in Budget 2025, we've announced 4 more schools for this year in Waverley, in West Kildonan, in Radisson, and in Brandon. We know the need is great after 7.5 years of a government who couldn't find a school here in Manitoba, a failed minister who didn't know how to budget properly for a school, who would just like to announce them and show up for the ribbon cutting.
His time has expired. The Honourable Member for Roblin.
Can't wait to show the minister's answer to my constituents in Headingley, who will no doubt notice that the word Headingley did not cross the minister's lips there. If she ever wants to come out and see Phoenix School in Headingley, I would be happy to show her where it is. It is, in fact, the #1 capital priority of the St. James Assiniboia School Division. I know she's heard of them. The project also included 74 childcare spaces. There are hundreds of children on a wait list for childcare in Headingley. It is an issue that I hear about all the time in my constituency office. I know all of us do. People rely on childcare to get back to work. So again, I ask the minister, when will the NDP uncancel the Phoenix School expansion and renovation project?
The Honourable Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning.
Well, Honourable Speaker, I'm not sure that uncancel is a word, but regardless, I appreciate the opportunity to answer a question finally on education. I'm so glad to see that the PCs have finally woken up and realized that there's something called education here in Manitoba. Right. I'm so happy to get to talk to it. Let's talk about the numbers, Honourable Speaker. 100. That's the number, that's the percentage of school divisions that received budget increases under our new Democratic government. Let's talk about some more numbers, Honourable Speaker. 100. 100% of students in Manitoba have access to a universal school nutrition program, something the members opposite said was a bad idea. 100% 670, Honourable Speaker. That's how many millions of dollars we have increased the budget. Let's talk about another number, Honourable Speaker, 64. That was the number of the only idea that the PCs
Member's time has expired. The honourable member for Portage La Prairie.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. The Minister of Housing, Addiction and Homelessness needs to be clear with Manitobans. She went to the media yesterday and tried to scare Manitobans that our proposed amendments would impact ongoing sobering sites. But this is not true. The restrictions are only on new protective care centres. Will the minister correct the record today and withdraw her erroneous comments?
Erroneous.
The Honourable Minister of Housing, Addiction and Homelessness.
Miigwech, Honourable Speaker. What I will say to that member is I don't know why that member is, well, supported at stage 1, stage 2, come to committee and say it's a great bill, wants to support it. Even members on that side said this should have happened a long time ago, comes to this House and now is saying that they don't want to support it. Are they supporting it, not supporting it? Manitobans have been clear. They want to keep Manitobans safe. This is going to help keep Manitobans safe. This is a protective care centre where they're going to receive care. They're going to make sure that they get the supports that they need. That member needs to get on board and help support Manitobans.
Order, please. Stop the clock, please. Just need to interrupt QP for a minute just to acknowledge some students that are in the public gallery. We have seated in the public gallery from Westgate Mennonite Collegiate 25 grade 9 students under the direction of Jeremy Simons, and this group is located in the constituency of the Honourable Member for Wolseley. We welcome you here today. The Honourable Member for Portage La Prairie.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. As I said before, and I've said over and over, no content in Bill 48. 190 Disraeli Freeway is across the street from a high school and nearby daycares. The community was quite clear at committee that they have concerns and have not been consulted, but they've been cut off. Individuals can't admit themselves to a protective care site, so a central location serves to only amplify potential for harm when individuals who are still intoxicated and are required to be released. Why did this minister refuse to consult with those constituents?
The Honourable Minister of Housing, Addiction and Homelessness.
Miigwech, Honourable Speaker. Just last week, the PC leader told reporters, and I quote, "The PCs are in favor of holding people up to 72 hours that are suffering in the grips of meth psychosis." Even the member for Red River North said that the former PC government should have acted to protect people in meth psychosis, and he told the committee, and I quote, "This is not a partisan issue. Action needs to be taken, and we all agree we need to get it right, and it needs to happen quickly. Should have happened probably a long time ago." So why aren't members getting on board? This is about protecting members, protecting Manitobans, and protecting those who are on meth psychosis. This is about getting people the resources they need. These members need to quit
time has
playing.
expired. The Honourable Member for Tyndall Park.
Honourable Speaker, last week the Manitoba Radon Network hosted a symposium here in Winnipeg with a focus on developing a 5-year action plan for Manitoba to protect residents from radon, which has been found to be present at dangerously high levels in 43% of Manitoba homes. This is the highest in Canada, and it is the second leading cause of lung cancer, affecting thousands of Manitobans. For decades, this issue has fallen on deaf ears, despite available knowledge and previous advocacy by many organizations. What is this government's action plan for radon?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Yeah, I really appreciate that question from the member for Tyndall Park. I'll admit I'm a nurse. I've worked in healthcare a long time, but it's only in recent years that I've had the opportunity to learn about radon and the impacts of it. Early on in our administration and early on in my role as health minister, I had many conversations about the impacts of radon. I've talked to doctors about this and have been exploring the ways in which we can make sure that, first and foremost, Manitobans are informed about the effects, what to look out for, and what tools are available to them to keep themselves safer. So we recognize there's more work to do in this space. We're going to keep working with local experts, and I'd be more than happy to keep the member for Tyndall Park up to speed on how we do that work.
The honourable member for Tyndall Park.
Honorable Speaker, radon is an invisible, odorless, and tasteless radioactive gas that is naturally present in the environment and comes from the breakdown of uranium in soil and rock. While diluted outdoors, it can accumulate to dangerous levels in enclosed spaces like homes, making it the leading cause of lung cancer in non-smokers. Newly built homes are better insulated than older homes and are therefore often at greater risk of having high levels of radon. Will this government follow what Ontario and BC have already done and act to include radon mitigation as mandatory for major renovations or new homes in Manitoba's building code?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
You know, again, a very reasonable question being brought forward by the member for Tyndall Park. It would be great to see any member of the PC caucus take the same approach. But what I will say is that I think the member recognizes that this is an issue that actually crosses different portfolios, right? So the good thing about our government is that unlike the previous government, we actually talk to one another across the caucus and cabinet table. We work together to the benefit of all Manitobans. So this is something on the medical side we're exploring, making sure, again, the information gets out to Manitobans, but it's something across the departments of health, environment and climate change. You know, there's ways in which we recognize we need to partner across departments to do work in this space, while working with the experts and making sure we're keeping Manitobans informed. More work to do in this space. Of course, we're going to look at other jurisdictions.
Your time has expired. The honourable member for Tyndall Park.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Testing for radon can be expensive. If the presence of radon is confirmed, the installation of a radon mitigation system in a home can cost $3,000 or more. Unfortunately, many Manitobans cannot afford to do either, forcing them to live at higher risk of lung cancer. Does the government have a plan to subsidize radon testing and mitigation for Manitobans who need it?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
It's a really great question. What I can tell the member, she's raised a few really important points. The rates of lung cancer, which are unfortunately we're seeing increasing, are a direct result also of radon-related issues, amongst a whole host of other things. And we have been working with and meeting with Cancer Care Manitoba to find ways to ensure that more Manitobans, in particular those who we know are not getting access to screening in a timely manner, have the information, have the resources, have the accessibility to testing and screening so that we can improve the health outcomes of those who are affected. Ultimately, we want more Manitobans to hear those four magic words: you are cancer-free. We also want to do the work to do everything we can to keep people safe in advance and to be proactive and preventative.
Your time has expired. The honourable member for Waverley.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I want to thank the opposition for cutting their allotment of questions short. I know they were keen to get to my question here today. So this week, the MLA from Red River North put together enough money to pay his dues for breaking the law. $10,000. He broke the law, our Constitution, dismissed democracy, and unlike the MLA from Red River North, we know that as elected representatives, we have a duty to protect democracy and the rights of Manitobans. And that's why we can't wait to pass Bill 50 to protect human rights in Manitoba for generations to come. Can the Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care please tell the House more about this important bill?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
I thank my colleague for that very, very important question. Honourable Speaker, yesterday in this chamber, the member for Red River North said, wah, wah, to mock the fact that just one...
Order, please. Once again, I have to remind order. I have to remind members that they can't reference things that are taken under advisement. The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Who's making that noise?
Honorable Speaker, yesterday in this House and today in this House, we continue to see members of the PC caucus exemplify exactly why Bill 50 is needed. That's right. This law that has been brought forward by our government would limit future governments' ability to use the notwithstanding clause and ensure that the rights and freedoms of Manitobans are protected. The despicable outbursts that we saw and the despicable behavior we continue to see today, including while I ask this question, exemplify that we must do everything we can to protect democracy and protect Manitobans from any future government that might behave half as badly as the PCs continue to.
Whose time has expired. The honourable member for Brandon West.
Youth crime is skyrocketing under this NDP government. Monday afternoon, a youth shot a transit operator following a dispute, and he's still at large, and I'll table that press release. 325 violent crimes at transit locations last year, which is a historic high, according to the Winnipeg Police Service. Things are only getting worse under this Justice Minister. When will this minister bring forward a real safety plan for Manitobans?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Well, we have a real safety plan. It's called the Public Safety Strategy. The member opposite should read up. He should also be truthful in the House about the facts, which show very clearly that, of course, in 2022, under the previous government, youth crime was up by 43%. A knife crime happened every 6 hours. There was a 40% jump in shoplifting, and crime was up by 26%. Our investments are starting to move the needle. We've seen youth crime come down. We've seen attacks with long-bladed weapons come down. It's all because of the actions of this government. The members opposite don't have a leg to stand on. I want to thank our law enforcement. We're going to continue to work with them, support their work, and we're going to continue to make our streets safer.
The honourable member for Borderland.
This NDP government falsely claims to be a listening government, yet they fail to listen to Manitoba's construction industry leaders who are saying that this NDP government is choking our economy and limiting opportunities for Manitobans. This NDP government has shut out effectively 80% of Manitoba's construction industry from building our schools, hospitals, and highways. And yesterday we learned that for the first time in 6 years, there are fewer apprentice registrations and apprentices in Manitoba because of this NDP government's imposition of a 1-to-1 journey person to apprentice ratio. Will they reverse their disastrous decisions?
Honourable Minister of Business, Mining, Trade and Job Creation.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I'm glad to have the opportunity to talk about the incredible opportunities that young Manitobans have to work in our skilled trades. This is a wonderful profession that will help you go through the apprenticeship program, get your certification, become a journey person, earn a good-paying job for yourselves, for your family, and support us growing our economy right here in Manitoba. We're happy to know that our certification numbers are actually increasing. We've got more women in the trade. In fact, a 35% increase of women certified in apprenticeships this year. That's a terrific record for our government. Now, we want to make sure that every apprentice who goes through the program both has high-quality training and that they can go to work safely and return home safely. That's why we are initiating the programs we are. That's why we're supporting Manitoba.
Time has expired. The honourable member for Fort Garry.
Manitoba is in the middle of a mental health and addiction crisis. The Premier has no money for the Mental Health Crisis Response Centre, which is dangerously understaffed, but he does have money for prison beds, and that's what Bill 48 does. It adds 20 solitary confinement cells for Manitobans having mental health crisis while using drugs. They've committed no crime. They suffer from a mental health psychosis and use drugs to cope. This Premier's solution is to lock them up in a windowless cell for 72 hours. Mental Health Crisis Centre has been overwhelmed by patient walk-ins. There are Manitobans who want help who can't get it. Instead, the Premier's response is to jail Manitobans who don't want help and to force taxpayers to pay for it. Will the Premier withdraw his cruel, mean-spirited and ineffective Bill 48 today?
The Honourable First Minister.
Meth crisis has taken lives. It's causing chaos in our streets. and we're taking action to stamp it out. There's a lot of irresponsible comments being made about this. What we're talking about is a healthcare response to people who are experiencing addictions. The members opposite have brought forward some amendments that are irresponsible themselves. They would not give the latitude for the existing 24-hour facility that we have to help people who are suffering through alcohol addiction, as well as other drugs. While this is something that the members opposite want to tisk and heckle their way through, we're taking real action, listening to the healthcare providers, listening to the community members, and most importantly, listening to you, the families who have seen too many of your loved ones suffer.
The honourable member for Fort Garry on a supplementary question.
Jail beds are not therapeutic beds, and Manitoba is going to trial in November from the widespread use of solitary confinement in correctional facilities. Experts say solitary confinement makes people who are suffering mental health psychosis worse. The current policy in Manitoba is to only let inmates out of cells for 30 minutes a day. That doesn't comply with the United Nations rules on the treatment of prisoners. Yet this Premier, in Bill 48, is proposing to treat people who haven't committed a crime worse than they treat our inmates. Under Bill 48, people will be locked up in a cell for 72 hours without any time out of the cell. Solitary confinement has been described as psychological torture. In Canada, you can't force someone to get treatment when they don't consent. Why is this Premier going
time
after
has expired. The Honourable First Minister.
Section 1 of the Constitution says that everyone's rights are subject to the reasonable limits that can be placed on them by a democratic process. The reality that everyone who is criticizing the approach that we're taking choose to ignore to their own political benefit is this. The alternative to Bill 48 is to have somebody high on meth swinging a machete or swinging their fists in front of grandma, or in front of a toddler on their way home from daycare, or in front of your kids on their way home from school. We've seen enough chaos in our streets. We've seen enough shenanigans from the opposition. Let's take action to stamp out meth addiction in this province. It starts with Bill 48.
The time for oral questions has expired, and I have a ruling for the House. I have a ruling for the House. The Honourable First Minister. Speaker is still standing. On October 28, 2025, the Honourable Member for Red River North raised a point of order regarding comments made by the Honourable First Minister during a response to a question during the question period on second reading of Bill 50. The Honourable First Minister had accused the member for Red River North of saying wah, wah as a heckle. The Honourable Member for Red River North disputed this comment and asked that the Honourable First Minister table the answer showing the comments. The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care also spoke to the matter before I took it under advisement. Points of order are to be used to draw the attention of the Speaker to a perceived breach of rules or practice of the House, or to raise concerns about unparliamentary language. At no time during his submission did the honourable member for Red River North state that a rule or practice had been broken. Instead, the member used his time to dispute comments put on the record by the Honourable First Minister. It is well established among procedural authorities that disputes over facts are matters of debate and not points of order. Furthermore, on page 639 of the third edition of House of Commons Procedure and Practice, Bosque and Gagnon state, a member may not direct remarks to the House or engage in debate by raising a matter under the guise of a point of order. I would therefore rule that the member does not have a point of order. And I have more to say on this matter. As I said I would in the House when I took this under advisement, I took time to investigate further, and I have reviewed public footage from our broadcast cameras in the chamber. In this footage, the comment in question was clearly audible as a heckle during the Honourable First Minister's response. I would also like to say that I clearly heard the heckle by the member for Red River North in the House yesterday. If members do not want comments spoken off the record to be repeated on the record, I would suggest you do not make them at all. Just because the Hansard transcript may not include comments made off the record does not mean that they are not heard. Further, the member for Red River North was not the only member heckling yesterday afternoon. The behavior on display from both sides of this chamber was, quite frankly, disgraceful. Multiple members from both sides were again hollering back and forth, in particular, the member for Lac du Bonnet and the Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning. I was lenient yesterday, perhaps too lenient. I will not be so lenient today. This has to stop. We have to show the people of Manitoba that we are better than this. And further, earlier today, the member for Waverley, in his attempt to table a document, was speaking about a matter taken under advisement. So to clarify for the House, any member is allowed to table a document in the House. Earlier, the member of Waverley attempted to table a document related to the matter under advisement, and he was speaking to the matter under advisement as he did that. I didn't allow that tabling because the member was referencing the matter under advisement, but the document could in fact be tabled. I have one more thing to say. I see members on both sides getting upset because maybe somebody goes long and the speaker doesn't stand up right away and stop them, and that happens on both sides. Do members have any idea why that may happen from time to time? I'll tell you why. Because when I'm trying to listen and pay attention when somebody's heckling and heckling and heckling, then I don't always get the timing right, because it all is dependent on me paying attention to that stopwatch and pressing the start and stop button. But if I'm constantly jumping up to call people to order, or calling people to order, or listening to see if I have to call people to order, then sometimes that timing is off. So I would ask all members to be respectful of the speaker attempting to do the speaker's job, and the speaker certainly doesn't get it right all the time. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Steinbach.
Honourable Speaker, on a matter of privilege.
The Honourable Member for Steinbach on a matter of privilege.
The Speaker knows, and members of this House know, that a matter of privilege must meet two tests. The first test is timeliness that is raised at the earliest opportunity, and the second, that it is a prima facie case of a breach of the rules. On the issue of timeliness, Honourable Speaker, I submit to you that this is the earliest opportunity because what I'm about to discuss and to submit to you is an infraction of our rules, happened just before you issued your ruling on the point of order, and of course I wouldn't have wanted to interrupt you on providing your guidance on the point of order. Prior to you standing, or as you stood I should say, you called members to order and you signified to the House that you had a ruling for the House. Now there are a lot of different rules and traditions of this House, and I would submit, having been here for a long time, some might say too long, that some of those practices have fallen into either disuse or perhaps not adhered to in the way that they should. I remember a former member of the Legislature, member for Portage, David Forshaw, raising, I believe it was a point of order, about how members weren't bowing as they were either crossing the floor in the center of the Assembly or leaving the House. And at that time, the Speaker of the day, who probably was, well, it might have been Darrell Reed, but I'm not sure, but it was the previous Speaker, reminded members of the House that those are the sort of things that are important, that tradition are important, that it's showing respect not just to you as the Speaker, but to the Mace and the representative of the monarchy. Those are the sort of reminders that we all need. We've seen other sort of things fall into disuse, and one of them I would say is that when the Speaker is standing, often members are not paying attention. Most significantly at the end of the day, as you leave the chamber, I often see members either sort of milling around or some will actually just leave the chamber when they should be standing in somewhat attention as you leave the chamber along with the Mace. What I witnessed today, though, from the First Minister was an act of disrespect that I don't believe in my 2 decades that I've seen before. Not, as I mentioned, that I haven't seen people not properly adhere to the fact that you're standing and they should be standing or sitting in their place. Well, maybe the Minister... It may be that the Minister of Justice wants to respond to this matter privilege, and he'll have the opportunity as our rules allow. But the issue is about the rules. So when the Speaker is standing, as I understand it, and you'll certainly correct me if I'm wrong, that members should then be standing and waiting for you to either depart the House or to provide the information that you're going to be providing to the House. In this circumstance, when you stood and indicated you had a ruling for the House, the Premier started to leave the chamber. In fact, you then, I think Hansard would prove this out.
Order.
I recognize the Minister of Education has difficulty sometimes controlling her outbursts, but I would ask that in this circumstance, that as I provide this matter of privilege, that member tries to control themselves, at least until they have the opportunity to respond. So the issue then is the Premier was leaving the House. You as the Speaker specifically said, asked the Premier to come.
Order, please. As the member indicated, he's been here for a while and does understand the rules, so I'm sure he understands that we can't comment on whether a member's present or not present. The Honourable Member for Steinbach.
And I'm certainly not commenting on the current member's presence or not presence. But you called the Premier to order, and he ignored that order. It was specifically ignored. In fact, I saw the Premier, and videotapes would probably show this, sort of hesitate and look back at you and continued on his way. That, to me, is a breach of the privilege of this House. And it's a breach because all members have to be treated the same. I've said this before in a different context, but the Premier, the First Minister in the House, is the Premier of the province, but they're not the Premier of the House, because every member in this House has individual responsibilities, and every member of this House has individual authority, and every member of this House has individual rights. What the Premier did in that particular circumstance, I believe, was not only disrespectful to you as the Speaker, and I would hope that you would opine on that, in your ruling, but I think disrespectful to all members of the House, because his individual authority is certainly greater than members generally in this House outside of the House. As chair of Executive Council, as a member of the Executive Council, his authority is greater outside of the House. It is not greater inside the House, and he has to act in the same responsible member as all of us do. So, Mr. Speaker, Honourable Speaker, Honourable Speaker, I hope that you'll reflect upon this matter of privilege, and for that reason, I move, seconded by the member for Fort White, that this matter be referred to a committee of the House.
Before recognizing any other member to speak to the matter of privilege, I will remind members again that comments must be relevant to the matter of privilege that's been raised. The honourable member for Waverley.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. So I appreciate the member for Steinbach. I also appreciate his institutional knowledge of this space. He is bringing forward a matter of privilege. Obviously, this is a distraction from the failed point of order that they have made. They're trying to put new things on the record and to distract from it. Ultimately, when I looked around this chamber as the Deputy House Leader, I did not see anything amiss. And so this would not be a matter of privilege. And if anything, it would be a matter of the order of the chamber itself. So I obviously, again, respect the member for Steinbach for his institutional knowledge, but in this case, this is not a matter of privilege. Thank you.
At this point, I do believe I will take this matter under advisement, because matters of privilege are very important matters, and I want to make sure that the rulings are always done correctly, sometimes even with less serious matters. I take it under advisement because they do set a precedent for the future. So that matter will be taken under advisement. The Honourable Opposition House Leader.
On House business.
The Honourable Opposition House Leader on House business.
Honourable Speaker, is there leave to call Bill 225 for third reading and not recognize the clock until all members that wish to have spoken, bringing Bill 225, the Public Schools Amendment Act, Universal Screening for Learning Disabilities, to a vote today?
Is there leave for the House not to see the clock until all members who wish to speak have spoken to Bill 225, the Public Schools Amendment Act? Is there leave? Leave has been denied. Petitions. The honourable member for Brandon West.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. Number one, Kelly Verway, a beloved young woman from Portage-la Prairie, Manitoba, was tragically killed in a car crash caused by a repeat violent offender with a long criminal history. Number two, despite repeated violations of his bail conditions, the offender was free to roam the streets and to ultimately claim Kelly's life. This tragedy was entirely preventable. Number three, while the criminal code falls under federal jurisdiction, provinces have been given the responsibility for the administration of justice, allowing for meaningful provincial action on bail reform to ensure public safety. Number 4, other provinces have taken proactive steps to strengthen bail enforcement. But Manitoba has not used all available tools to address this issue effectively. Number 5, the provincial government has the ability and the responsibility to advocate for and implement measures that protect its citizens by ensuring that repeat violent offenders are not released into our communities without proper safeguards. Number 6, immediate action is required to close gaps in the justice system that allow dangerous criminals to remain free, which puts innocent Manitobans at risk. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. Number 1, to urge the provincial government to take immediate and decisive action on bail reform to address serious deficits in enforcement by utilizing all available provincial mechanisms to strengthen warrant enforcement, increasing bail supervision, and opposing release of offenders, thus ensuring that repeat violent offenders are held accountable and that public safety is prioritized over leniency. And number 2, to urge the provincial government to lobby the federal government to immediately repeal provisions of the criminal code that allow for the continued victimization of law-abiding Manitobans while granting repeat offenders additional rights. And Honourable Speaker, Honourable Deputy Speaker, this petition was signed by Larson Nelson, Kim Skoke, Carla Dawn Smith, and many, many other fine Manitobans. Thank you, Honourable Deputy.
The Honourable Member for Portage La Prairie.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, I wish to present the following petition. The background to this petition is as follows. Number 1, thanks to the investment made under the previous PC provincial government as part of the Clinical and Preventative Services Plan, construction for the new Portage Regional Health Facility is well underway. The facility and surrounding community would greatly benefit from added diagnostic machinery and equipment, but specifically the addition of an MRI machine. Number 2, An MRI machine is a non-invasive medical imaging technique that uses a magnetic field and a computer-generated radio waves to create detailed images of organs and tissues in the human body. It is used for disease detection, diagnosis, and treatment monitoring. Number 3, Portage La Prairie is centrally located in Manitoba and is on Highway number 1 in the Southern Health Santé Sud Health Authority. Currently, there is only one MRI machine in the RHA. Number 4, an MRI machine located in the Portage Regional Health Facility will reduce transportation costs for patients, as well as reduce the burden on stretcher service and ambulance use. It will bring care closer to home and reduce wait times for MRI scans across the province. Number 5, located around Portage La Prairie are the Dakota Teepee, Dakota Plains, Sandy Bay, and Long Plains First Nations reserves. Indigenous peoples in Canada disproportionately face barriers in access to services and medical care. An MRI machine located in the Portage Regional Health Facility will bring care closer to their home communities and provide greater access to diagnostic testing. Number 6, located in close proximity to the new Portage Regional Health Facility is the Southport Airport. This aerodrome has a runway length that is more than adequate to support medical air ambulance services. This would provide the opportunity to transport patients by air from more remote communities to access MRI imaging services. Number 7, the average wait time for Manitobans to receive an MRI scan is currently 6 to 8 months. Having an MRI machine in the Portage Regional Health Facility will help reduce these wait times for patients and provide better care sooner. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to support the investment and placement of an MRI machine in the Portage La Prairie Regional Health Facility in Portage La Prairie, Manitoba. This is signed by Lyle Henderson, Tricia McDonald, Barry Lusk, and many, many, many more Manitobans. Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
Before we move on to the next petition, I'll just remind all members that you can name 3 names at the end of your petition and 2 manys. The Honourable Member for Agassiz.
Two what? Oh, 2 minutes. Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. Number 1, all Manitobans deserve to feel safe in their homes and communities. Number 2, throughout Manitoba, rural communities are seeing dramatic increases in criminal activities targeting individuals and property, which has eroded their sense of safety. Number 3, though communities pay taxes for RCMP coverage, many have lost local policing as RCMP detachments consolidate. This situation is unacceptable to communities who expect a level of service and police protection. Number 4, the lack of community policing has led to many Manitobans losing faith in the rule of law and the availability of emergency services when they are needed. Number 5, the provincial government has a responsibility to act and ensure that communities receive adequate service and coverage from police resources. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to immediately work with the RCMP to restore rural community policing and provide adequate resources to protect Manitoba communities. This petition is signed by Sean Purkis, Tyson Walker, and Sheila Smith, and many, many more Manitobans.
The honourable member for Roblin.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. Highway 1 through the RM of Headingley is increasingly busy with vehicular traffic. As a major truck and transportation route that runs through both commercial and residential areas, safety is of paramount importance. Number 2, there are many local businesses and homes in this area, meaning that motorists must safely share the roadway with cyclists and pedestrians. Number 3, the stretch of Highway 1 westbound from Dodds Road to Bobiche Street does not have a service road, nor does it have a shoulder. Instead, Manitoba Transportation and Infrastructure has recently installed a curb on this stretch, which is unique compared to the rest of Highway 1 through Headingley. Number 4, the department's decision to forego a shoulder or turning lane forces cyclists and pedestrians onto the actual lane of traffic, presenting a serious safety hazard. Number 5, residents have reported challenges safely navigating this stretch of highway while cycling or walking to nearby homes and businesses. Some residents fear that it is only a matter of time until a pedestrian or cyclist is seriously injured or killed. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to install a sidewalk or shoulder with a turning lane to facilitate safe pedestrian and cyclist traffic along Highway 1 westbound from Dodds Road to Bobiche Street. And this petition is signed by Joshua Saunders, Brenda Skutnitsky, Ed Skutnitsky, and many, many other Manitobans. Thank you.
The honourable member for Lac du Bonnet.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly, and the background to this petition is as follows. Number 1, Kelly Verway, a beloved young woman from Portage-la Prairie, Manitoba, was tragically killed in a car crash caused by a repeat violent offender with a long criminal history. Number 2, despite repeated violations of his bail conditions, the offender was free to roam the streets and to ultimately claim Kelly's life. This tragedy was entirely preventable. Number 3, while the criminal code falls under federal jurisdiction, provinces have been given the responsibility for the administration of justice, allowing for meaningful provincial action on bail reform to ensure public safety. Number 4, other provinces have taken proactive steps to strengthen bail enforcement, but Manitoba has not used all of the available tools to address this issue effectively. Number 5, the provincial government has the ability and the responsibility to advocate for and implement measures that protect its citizens by ensuring that repeat violent offenders are not released into our communities without proper safeguards. Number 6, Immediate action is required to close gaps in the justice system that allow dangerous criminals to remain free, which puts innocent Manitobans at risk. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. Number 1, to urge the provincial government to take immediate and decisive action on bail reform to address serious deficits in enforcement by utilizing all available provincial mechanisms to strengthen warrant enforcement, increasing bail supervision and opposing release of offenders, thus ensuring that repeat violent offenders are held accountable and the public safety is prioritized over leniency. And number 2, to urge the provincial government to lobby the federal government to immediately repeal provisions of the criminal code that allow for the continued victimization of law-abiding Manitobans while granting repeat offenders additional rights. Honourable Deputy Speaker, this petition is signed by Kelly Drew, Delnora Rice, Heather Kerr, and many, many other Manitobans. Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Steinbach.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly, and the background to this petition is as follows. 1. Thanks to the investment made under the previous PC provincial government as part of the Clinical and Preventative Services Plan, construction for a new Portage Regional Health Facility is well underway. The facility and surrounding community would greatly benefit from added diagnostic machinery and equipment, but specifically the addition of an MRI machine. 2. An MRI machine is a non-invasive medical imaging technique that uses a magnetic field and computer-generated radio waves to create detailed images of organs and tissues in the human body. It is used for disease detection, diagnosis, and treatment monitoring. 3. Portage Prairie is centrally located in Manitoba and is on the number 1 highway in Southern Health Santé Sud Health Authority. Currently, there is only one MRI machine in the RHA. 4. An MRI machine located in the Portage Regional Health Facility will reduce transportation costs for patients, as well as reduce the burden on stretcher service and ambulance use. It'll bring care closer to home and reduce wait times for MRI scans across the province. 5. Located around Portage Prairie are the Dakota Teepee, Dakota Plains, Sandy Bay, and Long Plains First Nations reserves. Indigenous peoples in Canada disproportionately face barriers in access to services and medical care. An MRI machine located in the Portage Regional Health Facility will bring care closer to their home communities and provide greater access to diagnostic testing. 6. Located in close proximity to the new Portage Regional Health Facility is Southport Airport. This aerodrome has a runway length that is more than adequate to support medical air ambulance services. This would provide the opportunity to transport patients by air from more remote communities to access MRI imaging services. 7. The average wait times for Manitobans to receive an MRI scan is currently 6 to 8 months. Having an MRI machine in the Portage Regional Health Facility will help to reduce these wait times for patients and provide better care sooner. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. to urge the provincial government to support the investment and placement of an MRI machine in the Portage Regional Health Facility in Portage-la-Prairie, Manitoba. And Honourable Acting Speaker, this petition is signed by Joanne Gagnon, Bev Armont, Angela Caslow, and many other fine Manitobans. Thank you.
The member for Borderland.
Honourable Speaker, I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. Number 1, illegal border crossings into Manitoba have increased 14% in 2024, raising significant public safety and security concerns, particularly in border communities. Number 2, changes to the Canada-US Safe Third Country Agreement have driven migrants deeper into hiding to avoid apprehension, making law enforcement efforts more difficult. Number 3, Border Patrol officials believe that criminal organizations are involved in smuggling operations at the border, posing serious security threats to Manitoba. Number 4, human smuggling networks are abandoning vulnerable migrants, including families, in isolated and dangerous locations, exposing them to severe risks, especially during Manitoba's harsh winters. Number 5, border communities are preparing for a possible surge in illegal border crossings, which could overwhelm local resources and emergency search and rescue services. Number 6, despite these challenges, there has been little communication or support from the provincial and federal governments regarding their plans to assist border communities, leaving them under-resourced and unprepared to manage this escalating crisis. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. Number 1, to urge the provincial government to lobby the federal government to develop and implement a comprehensive plan to assist border communities in managing the rise in illegal border crossings into Manitoba. And number 2, to urge the provincial government to work closely with the federal and local authorities to ensure adequate resources, including funding and support for emergency services, are available to protect local communities, and that immediate measures be taken to dismantle and destroy all human smuggling networks operating in Manitoba. This petition has been signed by Sarah Bickert, Mary Reimer, Judy Peters, and many Manitobans.
The honourable member for Morden Winkler.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Chair. Honourable Deputy Chair Speaker, I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. Number 1, between 2011 and 2021, Morden's population grew by an impressive 27%, outpacing the national average by 16%, according to Statistics Canada. Number 2, while growth is welcome and encouraged, Morden has long faced a critical need for infrastructure upgrades to meet current demands and support future development. Number 3, Morden's wastewater system has operated beyond capacity for years, prompting the province in 2019 to halt property subdivisions due to insufficient wastewater storage. Number 4, as of 2024, after exploring all options, the city announced in July that the estimated cost for critical infrastructure upgrades has risen from $70 million to $88 million and now $108 million. Number 5, these revised estimates leave Morden with a significant funding shortfall of $13 to $33 million. Despite efforts to address the gap, including plans to raise utility fees for residents and businesses, such increases that have been delayed since 2017 due to the lack of approved capital project, taxation is not enough. 7, the lack of wastewater capacity has severely impacted economic activity and growth in Morden and the surrounding communities. Without much needed wastewater infrastructure investments, growth and economic development will be hindered in all of southern Manitoba. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. Number 1, to urge the provincial government to take immediate action and recognize the critical need of this wastewater project for economic growth and environmental sustainability by committing to advocating and working with the federal government to close the gap with additional funding for Morden's wastewater treatment system. Number 2, to urge the provincial government to ensure all levels of government and regulatory bodies will expedite necessary funding and approvals necessary to advance the Morden wastewater project with no further delays and ensure no hindrance to growth and economic development for Morden and southern Manitoba. This petition has been signed by Abe Ifriesen, Tammy Hendricks, Christine Thompson, and many, many other Manitobans. Thank you.
The member for Spruce Woods.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. Number 1, Provincial Trunk Highway 34, brackets PTH 34, bracket, is 2-lane provincial primary highway that runs from the U.S. border where it meets with ND 20 to PTH 16 at the town of Gladstone. Number 2, PTH 34 runs north-south in the south central region of the province. It is the main highway for the towns of Crystal City, Pilot Mound, and Holland, serving as a main corridor for semi-trailers, farm equipment, daily drivers, and local school bus routes. Number 3, a new bridge is currently being constructed over the Assiniboine River at PTH 34, north of Holland, in the RM of Victoria. The bridge serves as an important north-south link over the Assiniboine River between the Trans-Canada Highway and PTH2. Number 4, the deterioration of the PTH 34 has raised many concerns due to its narrow shoulders and numerous deep potholes that pose serious safety risks, considering farmers often need to use the highway to transport their heavy equipment. Number 5, construction of a new bridge in accordance current design codes and the RTAC standard located on PTH 34 crossing the Assiniboine River will support trade and commerce and improve public safety in the area, and also accommodate flood events on the Assiniboine River. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. To urge the provincial government to address the conditions of Provincial Trunk Highway 34, making the necessary upgrades to RTAC standard, and to resurface the road once the new bridge has been completed. This has been signed by John Taylor, Jim Hills, Donna Hills, and many, many more Manitobans.
The official leader of the opposition.
Thank you. I wish to present the following petition. To the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. Number 1, Kelly Verway, a beloved young woman from Portage la Prairie, Manitoba, was tragically killed in a car crash caused by a repeat violent offender with a long criminal history. Number 2, despite repeated violations of his bail condition, the offender was free to roam the streets and to ultimately claim Kelly's life. This tragedy was entirely preventable. Number 3, while the criminal code falls under federal jurisdiction, provinces have been given the responsibility for the administration of justice, allowing for meaningful provincial action on bail reform to ensure public safety. Number 4, other provinces have taken proactive steps to strengthen bail reform, bail enforcement, but Manitoba has not used all the available tools to address this issue effectively. Number 5, the provincial government has the ability and the responsibility to advocate for and implement measures that protect its citizens by ensuring that repeat violent offenders are not released into our communities without proper safeguards. Number 6, immediate action is required to close gaps in the justice system that allow dangerous criminals to remain free, which puts innocent Manitobans at risk. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. Number 1, to urge the provincial government to take immediate and decisive action on bail reform to address serious deficits in enforcement by utilizing all available provincial mechanisms to strengthen warrant enforcement, increasing bail supervision, and opposing release of offenders, thus ensuring that repeat violent offenders are held accountable and that public safety is prioritized over leniency and number 2, to urge the provincial government to lobby the federal government to immediately repeal provisions of the criminal code that allow for continued victimization of law-abiding Manitobans while granting repeat offenders additional rights. This petition has been signed by many Manitobans, such as Dana Kulba, Chris Houston, Willie Burnett, and many, many, many other Manitobans.
The honourable member for Midland.
Thank you, Deputy Honourable Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. 1. All Manitoba students deserve access to appropriate physical education facilities, not only as part of their education, but as part of living an active and healthy life. 2. The current gymnasium at the Elm Creek School is insufficient for the needs of the student population. Physical education classes are overcrowded, and there is insufficient space for whole school assemblies and events. 3. The current gym structure is aging and showing the impact of years of usage. Parents have significant safety concerns of the physical space and the aging electrical systems. 4. Uneven and heaving floors pose a safety risk for students participating in physical education classes or sports. 5. The existing ventilation system was designed to meet old standards for a smaller student population and poses serious risks for students. 6. The current facility is the only option available to students, and should it become inoperable, students at Elm Creek School would be deprived of physical education spaces. 7. The government has a responsibility to make funds available to replace this aging infrastructure and provide appropriate activity and recreation activities to students in Elm Creek. We urge the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the Government of Manitoba to immediately work with the Prairie Rose School Division to begin the process of replacing the gymnasium facilities at the Elm Creek School in consultation with parents and the community. This is signed by Veronica Deely, Christian Major, Dean Hager, and many, many more Manitobans.
The honourable member for Turtle Mountain.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background of this petition is as follows. Number 1, illegal border crossing into Manitoba has increased by 14% in 2024, raising significant public safety and security concerns, particularly in border communities. Number 2, changes to the Canada-USA Safe Third Country Agreement have been driven migrants deeper into hiding to avoid apprehension, making law enforcement efforts more difficult. Number 3, Border Patrol officers believe that the criminal organizations, including Mexican cartel, are involved in smuggling operations at the border, posing serious security threats to Manitoba. Number 4, human smuggling networks are abandoning vulnerable migrants, including families, in isolated and dangerous locations, exposing them to the severe risks, especially during Manitoba's harsh winters. Number 5, border communities are preparing for a possible surge in illegal border crossing, which could overwhelm local resources and emergency search and rescue services. Number 6, despite these challenges, there have been little communication or support from the provincial and federal governments regarding the plans to assist border communities, leaving them under-resourced and unprepared to manage these escalating crises. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. Number 1, to urge the provincial government to lobby the federal government to develop and implement a comprehensive plan to assist border communities in managing the rise in illegal border crossing into Manitoba. Number 2, they urge the provincial government to work closely with federal and local authorities to ensure adequate resources, including funding and support for emergency services, are available to protect local communities, and the immediate measures to be taken to dismantle and destroy all human smuggling networks operating in Manitoba. This has been signed by Chance Horn, Dwight Berry, Dirk Mitchell, and many other Manitobans.
The honourable member for La Vérendrye.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I wish to present the following petition. To the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. 1. Provincial Road 210, PR 210, is a 117.3 kilometer, 72.8 mile highway in the Eastman region of Manitoba that connects the towns and communities of Woodridge, Marchand, La Broquerie, St. Anne, Landmark, Linden, Ile-des-Chênes, and St. Adolphe. 2, a significant portion of PR 210 also runs through the constituency of La Vérendrye. 3, PR 210 is a significant commuting route for Eastman families and is also notably used by those in the agriculture, tourism, trade, and commerce industries. 4, the condition of PR 210 from Woodridge to Highway 12 is in an unacceptable state of disrepair. 5, the planned pavement upgrade was promised more than 20 years ago when it was constructed with a flat surface suitable for pavement, but has yet to be completed. 6, the condition of PR 210 from Woodridge to Highway 12 is in such bad shape that firefighters, police, and paramedic services are severely delayed when responding to emergencies. 7, the Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure, as well as the Premier, have a duty to respond to infrastructure needs identified by rural communities. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. 1, to urge the Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure to prioritize the reconstruction of Provincial Road 210. And 2, to urge the provincial government to include the stretch of Provincial Road 210 from Woodridge to Highway 12 in its reconstruction plans. This petition has been signed by Smokin' Joe and many, many other Manitobans.
The honourable member for Selkirk.
Thank you and good afternoon, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. Number one, LaSalle is the largest urban center in the RM of McDonald, with a population of over 2,600. The community members are active in establishing facilities and infrastructure that will meet the needs of a rapidly growing urban center. Number two, LaSalle is one of Manitoba's fastest growing communities, having grown over 60% since 2016, and is an attractive place for commuters who work within the Winnipeg city limits. Number three, Provincial Road 247 is frequently used by buses, parents, and new drivers, as it is the fastest and most direct route for Sanford Collegiate students from LaSalle to get to and from school. Number four, LaSalle and Provincial Road 247 can be dangerous to travel, as it is located in a well-developed agricultural area, leading semi-trucks, large farm equipment, and machinery to use the narrow roadway. Number five, most recently in 2020, 17-year-old Chloe Boyle lost her life traveling down the road to school, tragically losing control on the loose gravel. Previously, there were several collisions that occurred on Provincial Road 247, causing damages and non-fatal injuries. Number six, due to the active nature of this roadway, it is needing more maintenance to deal with loose gravel and large potholes caused by the daily wear and tear by drivers and equipment, leading to dangerous driving conditions, especially in wintertime. Number seven, there are local online groups with over 2,000 members dedicated to inquiring about the roadway conditions of Provincial Road 247 and 330, posting consistently and asking for updates or sharing issues that are happening that may affect families and their young drivers. Honorable Deputy Speaker, we petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. Number one, to urge the provincial government to assist in paving Provincial Road 247 to LaSalle from Manitoba Highway number 3. Number two, to urge the provincial government to ensure the safety of local residents and young drivers who use Provincial Road 247 from LaSalle, so that they have a safe way to access education year-round. Honorable Deputy Speaker, this petition has been signed by Rick Rivers, Marcel Lemire, Janet Lemire, and many more fine Manitobans. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Riding Mountain.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. These are the reasons for this petition. 1. Persons struggling with mental health as their sole condition may access medical assistance in dying unless Parliament intervenes. 2. Suicidality is often a symptom of mental illness, and suicide is the second leading cause of death for Canadians between the age of 10 and 19. 3. There have been reports of the unsolicited introduction of medical assistance in dying to non-seeking persons, including Canadian veterans, as a solution for their medical and mental health issues. 4. Legal and medical experts are deeply concerned that permitting Canadians suffering from depression and other mental illnesses to access euthanasia would undermine suicide prevention efforts and risk normalizing suicide as a solution for those suffering from mental illness. 5. The federal government is bound by the Charter of Rights and Freedoms to advance and protect the life, liberty, and security of its citizens. 6. Manitobans consider it a priority to ensure that adequate supports are in place for the mental health of all Canadians. 7. Vulnerable Manitobans must be given suicide prevention counseling instead of suicide assistance. 8. The federal government should focus on increasing mental health supports to provinces and improve access to these supports instead of offering medical assistance in dying for those with mental illness. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows. 1. To urge the provincial government to lobby the federal government to stop the expansion of medical assistance in dying to those for whom mental illness is the sole condition. 2. To urge the provincial government to lobby the federal government to protect Canadians struggling with mental illness by facilitating treatment, recovery, and medical assistance in living, not death. Honourable Deputy Speaker, this petition has been signed by many, many, many Manitobans. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Swan River.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. These are the reasons for this petition. Number 1, upgrading Provincial Trunk Highway 45 will accelerate economic development as it will enhance connectivity, facilitate efficient transportation, and promote economic growth of the region. Number 2, economic development will be further enhanced as improved road infrastructure attracts business, encourages investment, and creates job opportunities. Number 3, roads, meeting the Roads and Transportation Association of Canada, RTAC standards improve both safety and efficiency as they can handle heavier loads, reducing the number of trips required for goods transportation. Number 4, safer roads further benefit both commuters and commercial vehicles, minimizing accidents and damage. Number 5, upgrading to RTAC standards ensures resilience to challenges caused by climate change, such as thawing and flooding, which negatively impact road conditions. Number 6, efficient transportation networks contribute to Manitoba's economic competitiveness as upgraded roads support interprovincial and international goods movement, benefiting both trade and commerce. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure to take the necessary steps to upgrade Provincial Trunk Highway 45 from Russell to Provincial Trunk Highway 10 to meet RTAC standards. This petition has been signed by Brad Mazer, Angie Mazer, Nellie Nychuk, and many, 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 many other Manitobans.
Before we move on to the next petition, I will again remind members you get 3 names at the end of your petition and 2 manis. The Honourable Member for Red River North.
Deputy Honourable Speaker, I wish to present the following petition to the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. Number 1, thanks to the investment made under the previous PC provincial government as part of the Clinical and Preventative Services Plan, construction for the new Portage Regional Health Facility is well underway. The facility and surrounding community would greatly benefit from added diagnostic machinery and equipment, but specifically the addition of an MRI machine. Number 2, an MRI machine is a non-invasive medical imaging technique that uses a magnetic field and a computer-generated radio wave to create detailed images of organs and tissues in the human body. It is used for disease detection, diagnosis, and treatment monitoring. Number 3, Portage La Prairie is centrally located in Manitoba and is on the number 1 highway in the Southern Health Santé Sud Health Authority. Currently, there is only 1 MRI machine in the RHA. Number 4, an MRI machine located in the Portage Regional Health Facility will reduce transportation costs for patients, as well as reduce the burden on stretcher services and ambulance use. It will bring care closer to home and reduce wait times for MRI scans across the province. Number 5, located around Portage La Prairie are the Dakota Teepee, Dakota Plains, Sandy Bay, and Long Plains First Nation reserves. Indigenous peoples in Canada disproportionately face barriers in access to services and medical care. An MRI machine located in the Portage Regional Health Facility will bring care closer to their home communities and provide greater access to diagnostic testing. Number 6, located in close proximity to the new Portage Regional Health Facility is the Southport Airport. This aerodrome has a runway length that is more than adequate to support medical air ambulance services. This would provide the opportunity to transport patients by air from more remote communities to access MRI imaging services. Number 7, the average wait times for Manitobans to receive an MRI scan is currently 6 to 8 months. Having an MRI machine in the Portage Regional Health Facility will help reduce these wait times for patients and provide better care sooner. Honourable Deputy Speaker, we petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to support the investment and placement of an MRI machine in the Portage Regional Health Facility in Portage La Prairie, Manitoba. This petition is signed by Danny Fletcher, Braden Mansell, Jenny Spinsky, and many, many more Manitobans. Thank you.
The honourable member for Gimli Interlake. Gimli.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I wish to present the following petition. To the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba. The background to this petition is as follows. One, Provincial Trunk Highway 34, PTH 34, is a 2-lane provincial primary highway that runs from the U.S. border, where it meets with North Dakota 20, to PTH 16 at the town of Gladstone. 2, PTH 34 runs north-south in the south central region of the province. It is the main highway for the towns of Crystal City, Pilot Mound, and Holland, serving as a main corridor for semi-trailers, farm equipment, daily drivers, and local school bus routes. 3, a new bridge is currently being constructed over the Assiniboine River at PTH 34, north of Holland in the RM of Victoria. The bridge serves as an important north-south link over the Assiniboine River between the Trans-Canada Highway and Provincial Trunk Highway 2. The deterioration of Provincial Trunk Highway 34 has raised major concerns due to its narrow shoulders and numerous deep potholes that pose serious safety risks, considering farmers often need to use highways to transport heavy equipment. 5, construction of a new bridge in accordance current design codes and the RTEC standard located on Provincial Trunk Highway 34 crossing at the Assiniboine River will support trade and commerce and improve public safety in the area.
and also accommodate flood events on the Assiniboine River. We petition the Legislative Assembly of Manitoba as follows: to urge the provincial government to address the conditions of Provincial Trunk Highway 34, making the necessary upgrades to our tax standard and to resurface the road once the new bridge has been completed. This petition has been signed by Gerald Samatsky, Ray Tatarin, Dylan Quilty, and many, many other fine Manitobans.
Seeing no further petitions, grievances, the honourable member for Interlake Gimli.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I rise today with a heavy heart and deep frustration on behalf of my constituents in Interlake Gimli and rural Manitobans across the province. I rise to speak for families who lie awake at night wondering if help will come if they call 911. I rise to speak for people who watch their communities fall further behind while this government turns a blind eye, focusing instead on flashy announcements and photo ops in NDP-held constituencies. The other day, I spoke of a tragedy that unfolded in my constituency. A man lost his life after his wife and friends, doing everything they could to save him, dialed 911 again and again. 22 attempts, all failed. Help was only dispatched after they managed to reach a local RCMP officer directly. This wasn't a tragedy caused by inaction in the moment. It was a tragedy caused by years of systemic neglect of telecommunications, oversight of coordination between systems, of basic infrastructure that's supposed to keep people safe, and that neglect lies squarely with this government. And what was the response? Silence, excuses, empty rhetoric. The Premier and his cabinet can find time for press events and photo ops, but not for delivering the core services Manitobans depend on to survive. This government cannot answer a simple question with a simple answer. Let's talk about the so-called listing tour. It's been 18 months since the Minister of Health toured the province, promising to hear directly from Manitobans. Where is that report? Where is the action plan? Where is the accountability? It seems the only result on the tour was a few more social media posts. What we haven't seen is anything tangible. No funding, no strategy, no solutions. Rural Manitobans deserve more than to be used as backdrops for campaign-style consultations. They deserve a government that listens and acts. Let's not forget the history. The NDP like to call themselves defender of public health care, but rural Manitobans all know better. During their last time in government, they closed nearly 20 rural ERs and hospitals. Our physician-to-patient ratio lagged far, far behind the national average. Rural communities bore the brunt of those decisions and paid the price. And here we are again, Honourable Deputy Speaker. E.M. Crow Hospital in Ericsdale, which is in my constituency of Interlake Gimli, is only open 2 days per week at maximum. That means it's closed minimum of 261 days per year. The Lakeshore Hospital in Ashern was closed for 105 days last year. Even more troubling, both hospitals were closed at the same time on numerous occasions. That means people had nowhere to go in an emergency. The government's solution? A new ER in Eriksdale? But everyone, nurses, doctors, and the community knows the issue isn't the building, it's staffing. So why promise a new ER? Because it's an easy promise. It looks good in a press release. It can be delayed and deflected, but it doesn't solve the problem. Let's be honest, this government doesn't want to fix rural health care. They want to manage optics. They want to announce instead of act. They'd rather rely on signage than on solutions. This government has realized it can't control people. It can't force doctors and nurses to stay in rural Manitoba without addressing the burnout and their lack of support. It can't build trust with rural Manitobans while ignoring their lived realities. And now we see something even more dangerous, a government that's trying to gaslight Manitobans into thinking things are better. They say services are improving. They roll out ads and slogans to push this narrative, but rural Manitobans know the truth. When people call 911, no one answers. That's not better. When ERs are closed for months, that's not better. When ambulances are delayed, staff are overworked, and trust is broken, that is not better. Reality is not what the Premier says it is. Reality is what Manitobans live every day. Ask yourself, are you saving money? Are you better off? Do you feel safer, healthier, and more supported today than you did before? These are not rhetorical questions. They're lived experiences. Only Manitobans can answer them honestly. If you want a clear example of how this government's words don't match reality, just look at the Manitoba Nurses Union. They were promised respect, staffing, and investment. What they got was burnout, empty promises, and continued crisis. They, like so many others, were sold a bill of goods. Honourable Speaker, rural Manitobans deserve better. They deserve a government that shows up not just for a photo op, but with a plan. They deserve real investments in frontline care, not recycled announcements and broken promises. To this government, I say, stop using rural suffering as political theater. Stop announcing and start acting. Our communities are strong, but they cannot endure another 4 years of mismanagement and neglect. And to Manitobans, I say this, get involved. Watch what happens in this House. Watch question period. Listen to the questions being asked, and more importantly, listen to the answers that are not being given. Don't let government, don't let their spin replace your lived reality. Don't settle for talking points. When you know the truth in your own community, be engaged, ask questions, and demand accountability. This is your government. This is your health care. This is your safety. Hold them to account. And I know I started off talking about the failings of the 911 system in rural Manitoba. This government has yet to do a study and remote report to rural Manitobans. While they sit on their hands, nothing is being done. 911 is still being called. 911 needs to be answered to support rural Manitobans. Rural Manitoba is often hours away, even when they get through to 911. That call has to be placed through and connected with Brandon. And we need to know why. When it doesn't go through, Manitobans need to know why and have answers. And this government can bring forward a report to say exactly what happened and report to you, rural Manitobans, that want to hold this government accountable. Honorable Speaker, thank you for my time today.
Excellent. The Honourable Member for Roblin.
On a grievance.
The Honourable Member for Roblin on a grievance.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I rise today to grieve a few topics that are of great importance to me and to my constituents in Roblin. And one of those, which will probably not be a surprise to anybody in this House, is the issue of breast cancer screening. This is an issue that's near and dear to my heart and to many of us in this chamber. And that's because 1 in 8 Canadian women will get breast cancer. It's very likely that all of us in this chamber know somebody who's been impacted by this terrible disease. One of the startling and unsettling trends with this particular cancer is that it's starting to impact women at younger and younger ages. And more women who are diagnosed at younger ages are being diagnosed with more aggressive forms of the disease. That one of the reasons for that is that until recently, in most provinces, routine screening began at age 50. But in response to emerging evidence and recommendations from experts, every other province in Canada, except Quebec, has moved to lower the age for routine breast cancer screening, below the age of 50. The only other outlier is Manitoba, unfortunately. In Manitoba, the routine age for breast cancer screening remains at age 50, despite the fact that the peak incidence of breast cancer for Black, Asian, and Indigenous women is all in their 40s, despite the fact that catching one's cancer earlier greatly improves odds of recovery, despite the fact that it costs the healthcare system less to screen and catch cancers at an early stage than to catch them when it's later. A stage 1 cancer can be treated for about $39,000. A stage 4 breast cancer can cost up to $500,000 to treat. So there's an economic argument to be made here too. This is not the first time I've raised this issue in the House. In fact, with the support of my colleagues on this side of the House, I have twice introduced legislation that would require the Manitoba government to lower the age for routine breast screening to age 40 by the end of next year. I first introduced this legislation in the spring of 2024. At that time, the government responded by saying, well, we're not going to pass your bill, but we will lower the age for routine screening to 45 by the end of 2025, which I took as great news, because frankly, I don't care who does it. I don't care who gets the credit. I just want it to get done. But unfortunately, it's now October 2025, and we've seen no movement from the government to actively lower the age for routine breast screening. There's work to be done to roll that out. You can't just flip a switch and suddenly everybody can go get screened. We realize that. You have to take the time to train and hire the technologists. But it's been over a year, and the government made a promise knowing that. And part of my job as an MLA and part of my job as opposition health critic is to hold the government to account for those promises. Now, breast cancer advocates around Manitoba have said that that's not enough. They want it lowered to age 40 to match most other provinces and to improve odds for Manitoba women and to save lives. So the government has made that commitment too, but without any corresponding action, it raises doubts. Now, we reintroduced the bill this year in this session, And once again, as they did last year, the NDP passed the bill at second reading, but then refused to call it to committee. We've asked multiple times via leave requests for it to be called to committee. The government has refused to call it to committee, which would allow Manitoba breast cancer advocates, survivors, their families to come and make presentations about the importance of this bill. I find that very disappointing, and I know that my constituents do as well. Breast cancer advocates from not just Manitoba, but from across Canada are also very disappointed by that because it sends a conflicting message. It tells me that, and I think we saw this with bills that were put forward by the member for Tyndall Park as well, that this is a government that's more concerned with getting political credit than engaging in democracy and getting the job done. And if they wanted to, take this bill and do it themselves, like I said, again, I would be fine with that, but they're not doing that. It's like when they stole the Kira's Law bill from the member for Tyndall Park, they didn't even steal it well. And when they issued a directive for universal screening for learning disabilities, they botched that too. It's like if you want to take another member's idea, I think those of us who had those ideas would probably be fine with that if it means it gets implemented well. But if you take the idea and then you mess it up, that's almost worse than not doing it at all. So again, when it comes to breast cancer screening, I want to urge this NDP government to call the bill to committee, to pass it, to make it law. Manitoba women actually can't wait any longer. And earlier screening is only part of what needs to happen. And we haven't talked about this a lot in this chamber, but the next step in improving access to breast cancer screening for women across Manitoba is to improve access to supplemental screening for women with dense breast tissue. And what many people may not know is that on a mammogram, cancer is much harder to see for women with dense breast tissue. Those women can go for a mammogram, but the results might be inconclusive, and they will then require ultrasound. MRI is another recommended test for women with dense breast tissue. And access to supplemental screening varies widely across Canada. That's another area where Manitoba women are falling behind and have less access to screening services than women in other provinces. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, but where you live should not determine whether your breast cancer is caught early and treated early. But unfortunately, until the current NDP government acts, that's the situation we're dealing with. And I would be remiss in my comments here if I did not give a shout out to those breast cancer advocates at Dense Breasts Canada, Manitoba Breast Screening Advocates, the Canadian Cancer Society, and others who have been vocal experts and survivors and really the driving force behind these efforts. They do a great job actually online of promoting breast screening best practices, of encouraging women to do everything they can to contact their MLAs, to put pressure on government to lower the breast screening age and to improve access to supplemental screening for women with dense breasts. And I want to thank them for all of their efforts. The other issue I wanted to touch on, and I see that I'm running short on time, was Debbie's Law, another bill that the NDP government passed at second reading, presumably because they agreed with it. I certainly hope it wasn't just because Debbie Fuster's family was in the gallery and they wanted to save face. I hope it's that they agreed with the tenets of the bill. Just to remind everybody in this house, Debbie Fuster was a Manitoba woman, a mother, a grandmother, who passed away after waiting 2 months for life-saving cardiac surgery that she did not get. And her children have been staunch advocates for changes because they want to ensure that this fate doesn't befall anyone else. And they asked for Debbie's Law. And so I introduced a private member's bill that would have required governments to tell patients when life-saving care can't be provided, to tell them what procedure they need, how long it's going to take, and if it's longer than the medically recommended time frame. Because I think we would all agree that that's information patients should be entitled to. It went a step further by requiring the government to, if you can't provide the care here in Manitoba in a timely way, and this is life-saving care we're talking about, not optional elective procedures, this is life-saving care, to then inform patients of what options they have to go get that treatment elsewhere. Because I think any one of us, if faced with the choice between life and death, if it meant traveling to get the care, you travel to get the care. And I think the government has an obligation to tell Manitoba patients if they can't provide the life-saving care here in a timely manner. In response to that bill, the government again passed it at second reading and then refused to call it to committee. But then they said that they were going to have Shared Health issue a directive. But we recently learned through a Freedom of Information request that was made public that the directive is still being drafted. Now that was back in March. So basically the government said they would send a memo, and it's been 6 months, 7 months, and they can't seem to get the memo together. So I'm not really sure what's going on there, but the government needs to get its act together. They made a promise to the family of a woman that died that came to this legislature. They put on a show of voting in favor of the bill. They said they'd draft a directive. They failed. As with so many things with this NDP government, it's all talk and no action, and I just encourage the NDP government to do better. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Borderland.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I rise on a grievance this afternoon. One that I believe is very important, and I bring it forward on behalf of the blue-collar, working-class Manitobans, those who are who have families to raise and feed, and mortgages to pay, and aspirations and dreams, and who are finding it harder and harder every day, who are having their opportunities limited and restricted by this NDP government, and who are suffering under their increased taxes and their disastrous economic and fiscal decisions, and as well as their health and crime failures. And so I think it's important to bring some of these concerns forward. I really do want to talk about, in particular, the Manitoba Jobs Agreement, the so-called Manitoba Jobs Agreement, which effectively shuts out 80% of Manitoba's construction sector simply because they don't belong to a union, which this NDP government seems to have a problem with. And so they are limiting their economic opportunities. So I want to talk about the Manitoba Jobs Agreement, and but before I begin, let me just say that unfortunately the time that I've been given in this grievance is just not enough, and so I'll do what I can. And Honourable Speaker, I would ask for leave to be able to continue finish my remarks. 10 minutes simply isn't enough.
The honourable member have leave to go beyond 10 minutes to finish his remark. No, leave has been denied. The honourable member for Borderland.
Well, that's disappointing. It's disappointing to see the NDP trying to silence the opposition and stifle democracy in this House, and deny leave to a member who wants to talk about the concerns of blue-collar, working-class Manitobans. And of course, the NDP don't want to hear about that because they've been duly chastised this week and over the last couple of weeks by Manitoba's construction industry, and again, those folks who build our hospitals, schools, and highways. No wonder they don't want a member of this PC team, this progressive conservative team, which has always championed working class values. They don't want a member to stand up in this House and to feed it to them. So they'll shut down any kind of comments in that vein. But I'll do what I can with the time that I have left. Before I get to the Manitoba Jobs Agreement and some of the concerns that I have, I do want to just lay the context. As I said, this is a difficult economy, and it certainly isn't working for many Manitobans. Certainly not ones outside of the NDP's exclusive class of special interest groups and political friends. And so, you know, I'd like to to remind the members of the NDP of a headline that I'm sure that they didn't read. Kind of a brutal headline that reflects on their economic record. It's fairly recent, and it's one that was put out by a newspaper of record in this province. Manitoba trails provincial peers in 2024 GDP growth. So that was the result. That was the report card for last year. This year, which is not complete, will be no different. In fact, another headline: financial numbers tell tale of province falling back, not moving forward. Another headline: Manitoba ran, these are all recent, this is Canadian Press, posted September 26, 2025, just a month ago. The headline is Manitoba ran $1.1 billion deficit last fiscal year, government figures show. Another headline: Manitoba's balanced budget plan could face hurdle as agency predicts more red ink. That one too is was published within the last month here. Another one: Manitoba tops nation with the highest debt to GDP ratio at 141.4%. Another newspaper of record.
More?
There's more. We'll keep going. This headline reads: higher rents likely. Manitoba landlords warn after province removes education property tax rebates. Look at that. They're going after renters. Wow. The NDP socking it to renters. Here's another headline, and this one I think sums up, this one really sums up the others that I've been reading, and it really is tragic. This one is really, really difficult, and it's a result of this NDP's disastrous fiscal and economic decisions. The headline reads: nearly half of Manitobans struggling financially, new survey shows, and that came out October 15th, 2025. Again, just for members, I hear a member saying, read that again, nearly half of Manitobans struggling financially, new survey shows. And then there's a couple here that are just, byproducts of their terrible decision-making, their horrible leadership. Not so fast, reads the headline. Manitoba's celebrated positive interprovincial migration numbers were wrong. A net gain turns out to be a net loss. There we go. That one came out, that one's by the CBC, came out September 29th, 2025. I'm sure the Premier, who used to work for the CBC, would have an issue with that. Here's another one by the Premier's old employer. Surgical waits in Manitoba rising again. And that one was published by the CBC September 15, 2025, talking about healthcare. We're going backwards. And I think this one here, finally, and there's so many more that I could read, I'll probably have to ask someone in the legislative staff here to reinforce my desk, because I've got the weight of all of these articles weighing down in my desk here, and so I could read a couple more. But I'll just sum up what I've read with this headline, which I think encapsulates the thinking of Manitobans. And this one was put out by the Brandon Sun last month. So the member for Brandon East will want to see this. NDP long overdue for cabinet shuffle. So that's what this gets us.
Robert's in agreement on that one. Yeah. Robert's clapping.
Now the reality is that the Premier is this NDP Premier is in a bind because there's no cabinet to shuffle. There's no one he can bring up. And we see it time and time again in question period where he's really a one-man show, and that's all they've got. And so there's no one that he can bring in. So they're stuck with this band of failures and losers, for lack of a better phrase. But as I said, Honourable Speaker, 10 minutes simply isn't enough, and I regret that this NDP government has denied a member in this House the democratic right to be able to express all the concerns that working-class, blue-collar Manitobans would have with the economic and fiscal policy of this government. And on this side of the House, PC members have been bringing forward those concerns, especially with regard to the Manitoba Jobs Agreement, as I said, this divisive and discriminatory Manitoba Jobs Agreement, which limits opportunity and chokes our economy. And we've heard from the construction industry about that, but we've also learned just this week that as a result of the NDP's imposition of a 1-to-1 journey person to apprentice ratio, that for the first time in 6 years, there is a substantial decline in not only apprentices working in Manitoba, but also apprentice registrations. And the quote from construction industry leaders is that this NDP policy is reducing opportunity for Manitobans who want to work in the skilled trades. 398 fewer apprenticeship registrations, 250 fewer active apprentices, the slowest GDP growth in Canada at 1.1%. Will this government admit that they're taking Manitoba backwards, not forwards?
The honourable member for Waverley.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Could you please canvass the House to see if there's leave to consider condolence motions immediately following oral questions tomorrow, October 30th, 2025, postponing petitions and grievances until consideration of the motions is complete.
Is there leave to consider condolence motions immediately following oral questions tomorrow, postponing petitions and grievances until all consideration of the motions is complete? Is there leave? Agreed and so ordered. The honourable member for Waverley.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Since there have been a lot of important petitions and grievances this afternoon, I appreciate the members opposite having the time to do that. I do know that we all really want to make sure that we see Bill 48 passed today, and so I would ask for leave that we can pass through all stages and not see the clock until we move through the report stage amendments, third reading, and concurrence of the bill.
Is there leave to go through all stages of Bill 48 until it's passed? Not see the clock. Leave has been denied. Orders of the day, government business. The Honourable Minister of Business, Mining, Trade and Job Creation.
Honourable Speaker, can you please call the start of report stage amendments for Bill 48, the Protective Detention and Care of Intoxicated Persons Act, followed by calling the start of concurrence and third reading of Bill 48, the Protective Detention and Care of Intoxicated Persons Act. And, Honourable Speaker, I'm asking for leave to not see the clock until we vote on all report stage amendments, concurrence and third reading of Bill 48.
So it's been announced that we will now go to report stage amendments for Bill 48, the Protective Detention and Care of Intoxicated Persons Act, and proceed to concurrence and third reading of same. And there's been a request for leave to not see the clock until that's all completed. Is there leave? No. Leave has been denied. The honourable member for Waverley.
I'll just try one more. Could we also not see the clock? I would ask for leave to not, this is a different one. This
Order.
Is a different one. So the opposition has brought forward amendments, and we are all very passionate about these, and we'd like to speak to them. Let's not see the clock until we move through the report stage amendments phase of this bill, so we can have a fulsome conversation today. So I would ask for leave to move through report stage amendments on Bill 48 today and not see the clock until we do so.
Is there leave to not see the clock until we've completed the Bill 48 amendments? Leave has been denied. Order. So, as previously announced, we will now go to report stage amendments on Bill 48, the Protective Detention and Care of Intoxicated Persons Act. The Honourable Member for Portage La Prairie. Specifically, the member for Portage La Prairie is to move his First Amendment. The Honourable Member for Portage La Prairie.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I so moved, seconded by the MLA for Morden Winkler, that Bill 48 be amended by adding the following before Clause 11 and after the centered heading General Provisions. Limitations. 10.11. A facility or part of a facility must not be designated as a protective care center under Clause 12(1)(c) if the facility or part of the facility is within 500 meters from the parcel of land on which any of the following are located. A public school as defined in the Education Administration Act. B, an independent school as defined in the Education Administration Act. C, a child care center as defined in the Community Child Care Standards Act. D, a personal care home as defined in the Health Services Insurance Act. E, a public playground, park, or community center. F, a supervised consumption site. Mobile overdose prevention site, 10.12. A supervised consumption site that is a mobile overdose prevention site must not operate within 500 meters from the parcel of land on which a protective care center is located. Definition of a supervised consumption site. 10-13. For the purpose of this section, a supervised consumption site is a site including a mobile overdose prevention site in respect of which the Federal Minister of Health has granted an exemption under Section 56.1 of the Controlled Drug and Substance Act, Canada, in brackets, to allow certain activities in relation to a controlled substance or precursor. Good job.
So just before I read the motion back, there was a small mistake made. Is there leave to have the amendment considered moved as written as opposed to as said? Is there leave? Agreed, and so ordered. So it's been moved by the Honourable Member for Portage La Prairie, seconded by the Honourable Member for Morden Winkler, that Bill number 48 be amended by adding the following before Clause 11 and after the centered heading. Dispense. Okay. Order. Order. So, that Bill 48 be amended by adding the following before Clause 11 and after the centered heading General Provisions limitation 10.1 bracket 1. A facility or part of a facility must not be designated as a protective care center under Clause 12 bracket 1 bracket C if the facility or part of the facility is within 500 meters from the parcel of land on which any of the following is located. A public school as defined by the Education Administration Act, an independent school as defined in the Education Administration Act, a child care center as defined by the Community Child Care Standards Act, a personal care home as defined by the Health Services Insurance Act, a public playground, park, or community center, a supervised consumption site, mobile overdose prevention site 10.1 bracket 2, a supervised consumption site that is a mobile overdose prevention site must not operate within 500 meters from the parcel of land on which a protective care center is located. Definition of supervised consumption site 10.1 bracket 3, for the purpose of this section, a supervised consumption site is a site including a mobile overdose prevention site in respect of which the Federal Minister of Health has granted an exemption under Section 56(1) of the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act, Canada, to allow certain activities in relation to a controlled substance or precursor. The amendment is in order, therefore the floor is now open for debate. The Honourable Member for Portage La Prairie.
Thank you so much, Honourable Speaker. And it is my honor to stand here today on this special bill and to introduce an amendment. I rise today to speak to the amendment I brought forward to Bill 48, the Protective Detention and Care of Intoxicated Persons Act. This amendment is not about delay or politics. It is about doing the job properly. Bill 48 was introduced with very little explanation, no operational plan, and no clear definition of what a protective care center actually is. Manitobans deserve clarity before this government grants itself the power to detain and house people under a new model that no one has seen and nothing has been defined. Yesterday, the media even come to me and said that Main Street project would have to be closed down by this, they were told. And I said, well, no, under the amendment, as it reads in 10.1.1, a facility or part of a facility must not be designated as a protective care center under Clause 12.1c if the facility or part of the facility is within 500 meters from the parcel of land on which any of the following are located. And again, when we talk about that, that's not what Main Street Project is. And again, when we had the bill briefing, there was no explanation. And that's why we found that we needed to bring amendment forward. Honorable Speaker, when this bill was briefed, members asked questions such as, who will run these centers? Will they be health facilities or secure holding cells? What standards of care and oversight will apply? How long can someone be detained under whose authority? None of these questions were answered. The information provided was minimal at best. No operating framework, no cost estimate, no staffing model, yet we're asked to vote this bill into law today? How can we do this to Manitobans? A responsible legislature cannot approve blank check legislation like this. Manitobans deserve more than slogans, they deserve details. When the bill reached committee, many Manitobans signed up to speak. We were there till 12:30 in the morning, yet this NDP government cut them off and didn't let them speak. They never got their chance to be heard. So we hope that we can be the voice of Manitobans. Parents, service providers, community organizations, people who lived experience We're told time was up. This isn't public consultation. That's a rubber stamp. Honorable Speaker, the people most affected by this legislation were denied a voice. Our amendment helps restore accountability by writing concrete protections directly into the bill. The amendment adds Section 10.1 limitation. It prevents the government from designating a protective care center within 500 meters of a public or independent school, a licensed child care center, a personal care home, a public playground, park or community center, and a supervised consumption site. This is common sense planning. These centers will house individuals who are intoxicated, disorientated, possibly in terrible distress. They require security, medical support, and emergency access, not proximity to daycares, schoolyards, or even personal care homes. The 500-meter buffer is standard in municipal zoning across Canada for sensitive facilities, and I would say this is a sensitive facility. It protects both the client receiving care and the public nearby. Honorable Speaker, without clear location limits, the government could place these facilities anywhere it chooses. That invites community conflict, confusion, and mistrust. We've all seen how projects fail when communities feel blindsided. This amendment gives municipalities, parents, and residents some predictability. It makes the process transparent instead of political. More importantly, this amendment forces the government to clarify what a protective care center is before designation occurs. As late as today, this afternoon, I was asked what a protective care center was. I couldn't answer that question. If I can't answer that question, then who knows what we're dealing with here? Is it the same as what I dealt with in Portage La Prairie when I was doing guard duty at the RCMP station? Are we going to lock up people for 72 hours in a cement-walled cell with someone peering in the window every 15 minutes? If that's the case, that is not fair. Honorable Speaker, without clear location limits, the government could place these facilities anywhere it chooses. We've all seen how projects fail when communities feel blindsided. This amendment gives municipalities, parents, and residents the predictability. More importantly, this amendment forces the government to clarify what a protective care center is before designation occurs. Right now, it could mean anything, from a medical sobering unit to a secure holding room in a police facility. What is it? Until definitions, standards, and oversight mechanisms are public, the term is absolutely meaningless. Adding clear citing rules signals that this legislator expects proper planning and community safety before the first facility opens. November 1st is too early for this to be open without all these questions being asked. We absolutely agree with the goal. People who are intoxicated and at risk need safe, humane care, not a jail cell or an ER hallway. But detention without definition isn't care. It's a legal risk and a policy failure waiting to happen. Protective detention must be part of continuum of health services without medical supervision and a pathway to treatment. It cannot become a warehouse for people society doesn't know how to help. Honorable Speaker, our Progressive Conservative Caucus supports the intent of Bill 48. We want solutions that protect Manitoba's vulnerable population and relieve pressure on police and hospitals. But we also insist on clarity, transparency, and respect for communities. This amendment provides that balance. It introduces a clear, enforced safeguard. If the government wants Bill 48 to succeed, it must earn the public's trust. Adopting this amendment will be a good first step. Honorable Speaker, we can have compassion and accountability. We can care for people in crisis and protect our communities. I urge every member to support this amendment to make Bill 48 something that actually works for Manitobans instead of something that just passes on a piece of paper. Thank you so much, Honorary Speaker.
The honourable member for Waverley.
On House business.
Order, please. The honourable member
business.
for Waverley on House business.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Just moments ago, I was handed a document here that I would like to table for the House. Before I ask for leave again, the member from Portage la Prairie was asked if he was prepared to sit late tonight to be here beyond 5 p.m. And he stated that he is allowed to wait and sit as long as we need to sit in order to get these bills right. I think being part of this Manitoba legislature is what we need to be here when and as long as the people want us to be here, so absolutely. So with that being said, and since he just stated that to the media, I'm wondering if we could get leave to move through all report stage amendments and third reading and concurrence of that bill.
Order, please. Order, please. Order. So, once again, it has been asked for leave to not see the clock until all report stage amendment processes have been completed, and including passing concurrence and third reading. Is there leave? No leave. Leave has been denied. The honourable member for Waverley.
Flip-flop, Jeff, flip-flop.
Order, please. The honourable member for Waverley has the floor, and I might want to hear what he's got to say. The honourable member for Waverley.
I would maybe just also ask for leave to move through the report stage amendments that the member for Portage la Prairie brought forward, since he also said that he would like to move through this tonight and can sit as late as he would like.
Is there leave to move through the report stage amendments until they're all passed and not see the clock until that happens? Is there leave? Leave has been denied. The honourable member for Waverley.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I am really disappointed that we don't get to stay late and work for Manitobans here in the legislature. Unfortunately, the members opposite were not interested in doing that work to get this important piece of legislation put forward here in Manitoba. So I'm really honoured to be able to stand up on this important piece of legislation and also speak to the amendments that are being brought forward by the opposition. I worked as a firefighter paramedic. I know I've said that a number of times here in the chamber, but it's incredibly important for this bill specifically. I have to start by just speaking about some of the rhetoric that I've been hearing around this bill and the perpetuation of some really troubling rhetoric about the care that's provided by these centers and by folks on the front line, and the degradation or the general speaking down to towards paramedics that I've heard from members opposite. It's absolutely deplorable to be hearing folks on the other side saying things like paramedics don't have the training to assess folks that they are bringing in to this site. You know, paramedics spend years and years and years honing their skills, going through school, being on the front line and dealing with this issue. I am one of those paramedics, and so it's very important for me to stand up and stick up for my fellow frontline workers who do incredible work in the community of Manitoba every single day. So the cornerstone of any successful community paramedicine program is really simple, right? It's the right care in the right place at the right time. And so where this is currently located, 75 Martha, and in the downtown area, we have a high population of folks who have needs. And that is why this has been set up in that space. And you know, it's a model that's been functioning properly for many, many years. And this legislation just seeks to strengthen that. You know, I was speaking with a couple of other community paramedicine community paramedics, my apologies. And one of the things that is known across Canada is that this space is a gold standard for Canada in terms of care for people in the community who need that extra help. It is also, if you're just looking at it from a clinical health perspective, it's reduced 911 calls by thousands. It's reduced hospital bed hours. And most importantly, it's helping Manitobans get care in the community without having to go to the emergency room. There are people on site who have an incredible skill set who are there taking care of them. Also, before they get to the site, they're assessed by those incredible paramedics on the front line. So, Honorable Speaker, Bill 48 does not change the delivery method, it just strengthens it, right? And this legislation ultimately is driven by data, right? It's guided by healthcare professionals, and it's shaped by people who provide that care on the ground, you know, whether it's paramedics or nurses or physicians who see those realities every single day. You know, and I'm going to just try to pull up a quote here that I found very interesting. Just bear with me. So last week, the leader of the PCs, the member for Fort White, said that the PCs are in favor of holding people up to 72 hours that are suffering in the grips of meth psychosis. And yet, they're bringing forward an amendment today that would shut down 75 Martha, the space that we have. It would not allow it to function with some of the amendments that they're bringing forward today. So I cannot in good conscience support the amendments that are being brought forward, right? This isn't a partisan issue. I know the member for Port Rouge Prairie has said that a number of times, and I agree, right? We need to take action, which is why I also ask that we sit all night, because I would love to be here till 4 in the morning talking about this.
Order, please. When this matter is again before the House, the honourable member will have 6 minutes remaining. The hour being 5 p.m., this House is adjourned and stands adjourned until 10 a.m. tomorrow.